Welcome, 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 Birds of a Feather, live on A2DRadio.com. Live from the BMW of Atlantic City Studios, BMW of AtlanticCity.com. First half brought to you by Gibson Mayer, LLC, our certified public accountant. It is tax season, guys. Make them yours. Poll question of the week brought to you by Scanzano Sports, ScanzanoSports.com. We're kicking it off this week, guys. What was the Eagles' top play of the 2017 regular season? And we're going to emphasize that, regular season, because we know the Philly special is not on the list. We got Carson Wentz's scramble and TD pass to Nelson Aguilar week 1 against the Redskins. Jake Elliott's 61-yard field goal against the Giants in week 3. Nelson Aguilar's 72-yard catch and run versus the Cardinals in week 5, or something else. Whatever you guys want to share with us. Join us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Periscope, on Twitter, anywhere you guys want to join us. If you're sweeps, join us on text message. Wherever you can join us, get in on the conversation, guys. I'm Chrome, obviously back this week with our man here, Chucks. Paulie from Philadelphia, NBC Sports Philadelphia, joining us here on the couch. Ryan Brodo killing it again, once again on the ones and twos. Guys, another week has passed by. We're getting closer to the draft. We got a lot to talk about. I know, Paulie, we're going to finally kick it off this week, start getting into our prospects of the week. We're going to do that in the second half of the show. But I just want to know, how are you guys doing this week?
Doing good. Doing really, really good.
Yeah.
I'm excited about well, it's not like I'm never excited about a show, but we've got a lot. We actually have a lot to talk in what's usually a slow week because it's off season. We got a lot to cover today.
Yeah, a couple things that popped up even right a little bit before we went on the air. Some potential rule changes that are being discussed and whatnot. I'm sure we're going to talk about that. We got LeBron on tap again, and we are ready to get fiery with that conversation.
No one's going to like what I have to say.
All the ridiculousness that we've seen
like
this week. It felt like it was a must. We'll probably even throw in some flyers. We got that first place flyers.
The first place
division.
flyers.
I'll tell you
Let's talk
what,
some hockey.
guys, winning is contagious, and
Indeed
it is showing. So, guys, we already got Facebook getting lively. Steve, I apologize if I say your last name wrong. Steve Salamonson says, if the answer for best play of the season is anything other than the Philly special, then you need to get examined by a medical professional. Regular season, Steve.
Regular.
Mike Mataraki, Big Mike, what up, brother? I'm going with the Elliott bomb of a walk-off field goal. The Birds lose that game. They fall to 1-2, and there's no telling what could have happened after that. That kick was the foundation of something special. Greg Milakovic jumping in. Scramble to Nelson for me. Scramble showed just how special Wentz has become. And, of course, game 1 and Nelson with a big catch after seeing Marcellus shrink last year was just, wow. Okay, I see you, Nelson. Enjoy, boys. Yeah, so, I mean, I got to agree with Mike Mataraki. I've talked about it previously. For me, that was the first indication of things that don't typically go our way actually go our way. I mean, I don't think we've had a kicker aside from Akers, and I don't recall Akers really being in too many of those kind of spots, that I felt confident kicking the ball past 42 yards.
Well, I think with Akers, we didn't remember it because we never worried about it with Akers.
Right.
It was just an assumption. Yep, he's making that. It was towards the end of his career when he started missing stuff where we all started getting a little surprised.
I think you're right. I think it was always, there was never a lack of confidence of can Akers or can not. I think we knew we had a reliable, probably one of the best kickers, especially of his era in the game. But for me, this was the first indication, and obviously the dominoes fell as the season went on, of, okay, this could be something special. And as it went on, you started to reflect back at that. And for me, I reflect back and I say, that was the first play where everything that goes wrong for the Philadelphia Eagles throughout a season seems to be going right.
Yeah. So, I'm sorry, it was the most important play, the best play, our favorite play. What was it? So okay,
I had worded it a top play. Well, however you want to answer it, just answer, yeah.
Since there's going to be a lot of overlap here, I guess I'll go favorite because my favorite play is a little bit out of right field. But you could argue that it wasn't even the best play in this particular game, but I loved it. The Redskins Monday night game, not the play where Carson Wentz disappeared and then reappeared for a 20-yard scramble,
amazing,
which was a great play.
You're going to talk about Clement pass.
Dude,
I knew it.
I believe it was third down.
I think it was
goal.
think it was, yeah.
They blitz up the middle. Wentz steps up. He gets grabbed somehow, some way, while he's getting grabbed. Like, the way it made no sense that he actually got the throw off.
Yeah.
He not only did he get it off, it was a freaking dime just over the linebacker's hands. And then, as we've talked about many times, Cory Clement, who all of a sudden is a third down back, makes this beautiful catch and keeps his feet in bounds, makes an unbelievable play. That was just my favorite play because when I saw it, that was kind of, if we're going to talk about plays that like made me think, that play made me think Carson Wentz could win the MVP. And he probably would. Like, that's what I thought at that time. I'm like, this guy is that guy's unbelievable. That was my personal favorite play.
Yeah. I'm gonna do both, a little bit of both. I'm gonna say top play for the regular season was the Jake Elliott field goal because that I've said, we asked this question before, what was the first moment where you felt like there was something special? And that play was when I first felt it. It was the first inkling of, okay, this team could be different, could be really, really, really good. Let's see where this goes. And that never happens to us. You already talked about it. And stuff like that. We never get those plays. We never get a long field goal like that.
It's always Matt Bryant hitting him against us.
Yeah, Matt Bryant.
We get them. We're just not the beneficiaries of them when they happen.
Matt Bryant. But, yeah, that field goal was just absolutely insane. And I don't think, out of any play this regular season, I don't think I went crazier over a play in the regular season than that play.
Quick Sixers update, 24-17 in the first quarter.
Sweet, nice. Well, my personal favorite play was the the Nelson Aguilar touchdown catch and run versus the Cardinals because, like, Aguilar has been one of my favorite players on this team. You know, like, I think after we traded for Ajayi, he easily became my favorite. But I think Nelson's right there with him because I've always rooted for Nelson. Ever since we drafted him, I've been high on him. And the struggle coming from where he was at the beginning of his career to see that complete turnaround here this year, it's kind of like seeing that's a good comparison, but like a close friend because you've rooted for him for so long and you've defended him when almost no one else did, and then to see him have a turnaround season and then make a play like that, like when you talk about highlight reels for the season, that's always in there. That's always in there. He absolutely embarrassed the cornerback. So and then he falls into the end zone like a la Deshaun Jackson. That was the moment where I was just like, this kid is going to be a star now.
See, now if I was answering it the other way and going favorite, to me, the Elliott's the top play. And again, to me, that was the first little pixie dust of magic that started sprinkling over this team. But for me, I have two, and it's tough for me to pick. And I'm a wide receiver and quarterback kind of guy. I tend to like those highlights. Carson was a highlight reel this year. But for me, it was the LeGarrette Blount beast mode run.
Great one.
Yeah,
that's a great one.
And as somebody who, I've always absolutely loved LeGarrette Blount. I've loved his playing style. And for a guy who, much to his own doing, came out of college with a lot of question marks, I think he's been a true professional in the NFL. Everywhere he's gone, he's been a massive contributor.
One little hiccup.
Right.
In Pittsburgh.
Right.
But other than that, yeah.
Take that out.
He's
right.
grown
You're
up.
right.
He's grown up and
has.
matured.
But and I think when we got to see him on a day in and day out basis, he was everything I could have hoped for him to be. You know how big I was on that signing.
Oh yeah.
And for a guy who looked like the potential, he could be cut for Clement coming in.
Yeah, remember that was a conversation.
That was a big conversation.
Yeah, that was a conversation.
For a guy who looked like he could possibly be the odd man out, he came in, and when the season started, the games started to matter, he kicked it into another gear and really bridged the gap until we got that cowbell of a running back in Jay Ajayi. So there was that run, and then for me it was Ajayi who, again, everybody, I've said it before, Miami is my AFC team. I think that Ajayi got a raw deal. I loved his first touchdown run, the first game he had here. And that was
against the Broncos,
again, another guy who came in, only knew, 12 plays in the playbook, and showed if you got an offensive line that's going to create space for you, he still had the enough of an explosiveness to hit the hole. And again, he had no touchdowns.
A quarterback that could keep the defense honest as well, which he definitely didn't have in Miami.
Right. Jay Cutler. Anybody?
Ryan Tannehill.
No, it's funny because I think it was Greg who said his play was the first play against the Redskins with Aguilar. I think to your point, Charles, I think what Greg was getting at, and it's true, is that that play set up Nelson Aguilar's entire season.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Because that got him going, and like kind of like what you said, Charles. I remember I felt kind of the same when I saw him catch that. I had that feeling in that Redskins game of man, like I just felt so good for the kid because he had been through so much and he'd gotten shit on so much for the past 2 years. For him to have that moment already in the first game of the season, I thought was awesome.
Very good point.
Ryan jumps in. Ryan Brodo over there on the 1s and 2s says, out of these options, I had the biggest reaction to the Jake Elliott kick, but my favorite was the Wentz to Clement TD pass versus the Redskins. It proved that he was a magician whenever he was on the field. Yeah. Very nice, Ryan. Well, eloquently put.
Very, yeah.
And
he's an eloquent kind of guy, Ryan. Yeah.
And Angelo Sajomo from Alaska.
What?
Hey,
what's up, bro?
From Alaska, he says, quote, you want Philly.
Regular season, but hey, I think we all agree that is.
No, he knows.
It's impossible to pick another play. Yeah.
YouTube, we got Foolish Demon chiming in.
Demon, what up?
His top play and favorite play are the same as mine. We both in agreement. He says mainly because in regards to the Aguilar play, he says mainly because the way Aguilar scored. He did the Deshaun Jackson fall back into the end zone. He won me over with that and showed me he had the confidence that he lacked his first 2 years.
I was going to say, yeah, it did. That was the biggest sign of swagger showing he's done since he'd been here at that point.
You're dating a dime piece like he's dating. You got a little swag in your stuff.
Yeah. And then Todd says Carson to Jeffrey against the Broncos, the read option play. Oh, where he beat.
Yeah, that's a great one.
That's a good one.
That's a great because everything about that play from Wentz.
Yeah.
The fake and then the throw.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So I went. I can just run through them so we can kind of relive all the time.
Relive the glory.
But I made a list. I went back and I made a list of 1 or 2 plays from each week that really are standout for the regular season.
Okay.
So we already touched on the week 1 the Wentz scramble and touchdown pass to Aguilar. In that same game, there was the Brandon Graham forced fumble and
Fletcher Cox return.
Yeah, which people are still debating whether that was really a fumble or not.
Redskins fans are debating it.
Before you do this, I'm going to read this because he's an asshole. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. John Miller, he's my buddy.
Oh God.
Says no one cares that what a Cardinals loving ginger bitch thinks anyway. Phillies hater. John's old. He's decrepit. He's a grouchy old fuck. So it doesn't matter.
We love John though.
But we love you, buddy.
I did write down the LeGarrette Blount beast mode run against the Chargers. And then I have the Aguilar catch against the Cardinals. The Clement, the Wentz to Clement touchdown against the Redskins, which you touched on. Wentz's Houdini run versus the Redskins later in that same game.
That was stupid, that game.
That was ridiculous.
You could even say another play that was awesome was in that game, too, the Mac Hollins bomb.
The Mac Hollins bomb, which got because we were losing. Yeah.
He threw that ball at least 65 yards in the air.
Yes, yeah.
Which is insane.
Talking about
on the money.
Air yards, yes.
Air yards. Hashtag air yards.
John said, stay off my lawn.
Week 8 against the Niners, we had the Jalen Mills pick 6.
Was a good one.
And then also Alshon's 53-yard touchdown catch. If you guys remember that, he caught it over a defender and then broke a few tackles.
Yep. Yeah. On the sideline, that was one of those. That was when I got a sense that Carson was Carson was starting to trust him a little bit. Right. That was a 50-50 ball.
Exactly. Yeah.
And Alshon said, "I got you."
Yeah, exactly.
Mike Parker says, "I tried to convince my wife to let me name our second son Carson Jeffrey Parker, but I have to settle for Carson Finley."
Okay.
I appreciate the efforts.
It's a good compromise. No, it's a fine compromise.
Yeah, you made a nice compromise. And Thomas Arnone says, hashtag family talk besides Charles, LOL.
Oh, yeah, here we go. He's just mad because I'm right.
Oh, boy.
Week 9, the Jay Ajayi touchdown versus the Broncos.
Yep.
Week 11, the Cowboys. The Alshon Jeffrey 17-yard touchdown catch, which was late in the game. If you remember, it was like full extension over the goal line.
Mm-hmm. What game was that? Sorry.
Against the Cowboys. It was like
I don't even remember
late in the
that.
fourth quarter.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
It was like a post, right?
Yeah, post route,
okay.
and he extended. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Jay Ajayi's week 12 against the Bears. Jay Ajayi's 30-yard run, fumble, but then Aguilar fumble recovery for a touchdown.
The one that people gave him shit.
Yeah, that was a whole thing.
Yeah.
Stupid thing.
It was a stupid thing.
Now this was a loss, but in the Seahawks game, the Carson Wentz 50-yard pass while he was stumbling to Nelson Aguilar, which was still. I mean, if we had won that game, came back and won the game, I think that play would have been like
way up there.
Yeah. Wentz's 2-yard touchdown pass with a torn ACL to Alshon Jeffrey.
Bittersweet.
Bittersweet. Chris Long's forced fumble on Jared Goff that same game.
That was huge.
Huge, because that got us back, because we were losing by like 1. And that got us in position.
That kind of kicked us towards late in the season.
Yeah.
Because if you really look at it, from that point on, a lot of those games, we were making those big defensive plays on that last drive. Strip sacks.
Well, I believe Chris Long actually was tied for the league lead in strip sacks, if I'm not mistaken. Even though it's a kind of an obscure stat. Yeah, I think he had 4, and I think that was tied for the league lead.
That's crazy.
So I think he only had like 5 all year before them were strip sacks.
That's crazy. Week 15 against the Giants. I kind of cheated a little bit here, but I wanted to give the special teams love. The 2 plays where they blocked the punt and then blocked the field goal.
That was huge. Huge.
And then Aguilar's 10-yard touchdown catch where he
mossed
the defender, went
and
up and over. Yeah.
And then he did the alley-oop celebration, which I was a fan of.
A couple more chime-ins real quick on Facebook. Eddie Rush from Jacksonville, our buddy from
Jacksonville.
Man,
Eddie, what up?
Join us again. The Philly special will go down as the best. And as always, me and the boys repping the Birds down in Jacksonville, Florida. Fly, Eagles, fly. Thank you, sir. Tom Boggs, the 4th down play to Ertz in the Super Bowl. No one talks about that, but the Patriots were up at that point. And Fred A. Svibin, I hope I got your name right, Fred. The NFC Championship game was a highlight reel itself. All great points. Now we're doing regular season.
We all know the playoff.
Throw us your favorite playoff moments too, guys. So, we're still champs. We can celebrate and talk about it all.
Do whatever we want.
We got it all.
You do whatever you want. And then I have 2 more plays only, or left. In Week 16 against the Raiders, the lone touchdown, which is the Jay Ajayi 17-yard screen pass.
Yep.
And then late in the game, the 4th quarter, Ronald Darby had the 4th quarter interception.
Yeah, that was huge.
I had another play I liked in that. I believe it was Malcolm Jenkins who just straight ripped the ball out of Marshawn Lynch's hands.
Yep.
Yeah.
That play was awesome.
Because that was right after Ajayi fumbled.
Yeah, and he got it right back.
The ball back. So
and Malcolm basically said, "I'm gonna take this back."
Yeah. So those are just a few. I mean, I was going through each game and I was like, there's so many.
What was your favorite from the Cowboys Week 17? I'm just kidding. There was nothing to like.
Steve
about
Jenkins
that.
says it's absolutely the Jake Elliott kick.
Yeah, it's fair.
Jake
you
Elliott
can't
kick,
argue with
brother.
it.
I love it.
As far as like biggest, it's hard to argue with that.
It's
I mean,
really,
and like you said, Charles, like that was the most of all the plays. That was the most unexpected too. Like, I thought everyone thought overtime.
Yeah.
Everyone thought overtime. No one thought this kid was going to nail us.
And I mean,
kid you picked up off the street nailing
that much
and
it
then,
made it into the upright.
And then let's not forget right before that, the pass to Alshon on the sideline to set it up.
They've done that. They did that multiple times this year.
because the punter was a Brad Wing.
Game.
Brad Wing kind of had like a lackluster punt, and it got us around, like, if I'm correctly, around the 40 or 50, and then Carson set it up with that clutch pass. And it was, you're talking about inches, like not even inches. Like that was threaded on the sideline.
More importantly, there was 1 second left on the clock.
1 second. 1 second.
My favorite part of Week 17 against Dallas was
Sidney Jones.
Sidney Jones, I will agree with that. That was the positive out of that. But also the fact that all the idiots who were yelling for Sudfeld to take over for Foles got shut up. So that's the highlight for me, Sudfeld sucking balls.
You know what else?
Here's the thing, though. Well,
I was not impressed with him at all.
Sudfeld outplayed Foles in that game. I mean, don't get me wrong. Foles is obviously
Foles didn't really play much.
He did his thing, but
you could also argue Sudfeld also played just as good as Dak Prescott.
Yeah, right. That's bad.
That's a fair point.
Against the first string defense, where Dak's playing against a third string defense.
An awesome take out of that was that their first stringers were playing our second stringers most of the game, and then
third stringers at the end of the game.
We lost only by what, a touchdown?
Yeah,
6. Wasn't ugly.
6.
It was 6-0, right?
Oh god, 6-0. Yeah.
Jay Schmoney says, "What Wentz's scramble from Washington game for the TF to Nelson was the best." I think it's supposed to say TD. Yeah. Anthony Russamano says a huge play that was forgotten about in that Giants game was the goal line stand at the end of the first half.
Oh, yeah.
Also,
where they went
very
for
big.
it.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of those highlights from the defense that showed you that we had a real good special defense there that can step up in a clutch spot.
Yeah, and then in the second half, Jalen Mills gave up a pair of touchdowns. But I mean, what number one corner does that?
Oh, no, we're going there already.
Ishmael Rodriguez says favorite play has to be the Philly special. Favorite defensive play, Mills defending Jones against the Falcons. Fly, Eagles, fly. Jay Schmoney says awesome catch, better throw.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. Foolish Demon, real quick, just one more comment on YouTube. It says another play I liked was a third down play by Nigel Bradham versus Carolina, where he threw his shoulder to keep the receiver from a first down. That was one of Bradham's best games of the year. Was against Carolina, multiple tackles in open space against running backs like McCaffrey.
Yeah.
So that's a very another good play to bring up.
that whole freaking Carolina game was great.
That was good.
Yeah, it was. That was one of the better
Every
games of the season. Yeah.
Reason to lose that game, and they just would not go.
And also, that would have been a game where if they would have lost and it would have been like a close game, I think everyone would have been like, okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think it would have been like a gut-wrenching loss if they had lost. But they took it to him, man. They really exposed Cam Newton in that game.
Yeah. They did.
Jay Schmoney, falling down Carson is the future of the NFL for sure. Do you have any more over there?
No.
Where's our YouTube guys at? Where's Rosca?
Hey, give him time. I think they'll be.
Where's Rosca? I'm looking for my Mandy Rose comment.
Rosca did chime in. He says, "What's up, boys? Eagles dynasty will come get Keenum to be with Foles and Wentz." I'm guessing he's saying
sign Keenum as a backup.
He is a free agent.
I've heard too. It's crazy. The Vikings are planning to not keep any of their quarterbacks. Like they're letting them all walk.
Well, hold on. Isn't
bold.
Bradford still on the contract?
No.
Oh, he's not.
All
on the
three are
contract.
free agents. Yeah. Supposedly, they don't plan to bring back any of the three of them.
Kirk Cousins.
There's that rumors out there too. They're going to make a push.
For him.
If I was Kirk, I'd probably do it.
We have our show gummies, by the way.
Yeah. We can't get through a show without gummies.
Yes.
Very important.
Started something.
I'm going to have to go to the dentist after.
Ralph Delvecchio, what up, fellas? What up, Ralph?
Ralphie
D.
Ralphie D.
You can catch Ralph on the Fix tomorrow night, right?
Yes.
Tomorrow night at 6:30. Am I right, Ryan Brodo?
6, but we'll be
6.
on at 6:30. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll be here.
Where they're going to talk about LeBron James.
They are going to talk
about that LeBron James.
Going to the Houston Rockets.
He's like, that's what I turned my mic off.
As Ryan turns his
not
mic
talk
off.
LeBron James.
I'll lose my freaking voice before the show.
Eddie says, I might be a little late to the show, but even the Carson Wentz post-leg play TD to Alshon was amazing. Great throw, great catch. Talking about when he got hurt.
Yeah, when he got hurt.
On the wobbly knee.
What would you say was what do you want to remember most, or what do you remember higher, when McNabb played with a broken leg against the Cardinals, or that whole sequence by Carson Wentz where he dove for the touchdown, was nullified, tore his ACL, but still played, or for that the end of the possession and then threw a touchdown pass to Alshon? What's gonna stick in your mind? Because we all I'm factoring in the fact that now with everything that's happened, Carson Wentz being, having that season that he did, the team going on to win a Super Bowl, there have been talk about how people are starting to forget McNabb and starting to get a little sour on McNabb, and plus McNabb's comments here or lack thereof. What do you hold more dear to your heart? Do you hold the memory of Wentz's lasting last touch pass in the regular season, or you give more credit still to McNabb playing on that broken leg?
Well, I think for me, that's a tough question.
Yeah, I don't even know how you quantify it.
I mean, obviously the Carson one's going to stand out in a Super Bowl season and with the season he was having.
And they clinched the division in that game as well.
Yeah, listen, I love 5. I'll always love 5. I don't think he was quiet. He immediately tweeted after the Super Bowl, congratulations. People just didn't pay attention to it.
Yeah.
Everybody tried to say he didn't say anything. It was right after the Super Bowl. I'll always love 5 and what he contributed here. I don't think he did himself any favors, but I also don't think he got a fair shake here. I mean, he got absolutely.
It was both.
Right.
It was a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Right. Like I said, he didn't do himself any favors. There was a lot of accountability. At the same time, people didn't give him a chance coming in to begin with from day one. But listen, there was a lot.
We all know who to blame for that.
There was a lot of great memories in this city with 5 behind center, and I will say this, and I've been saying this: when number 5 and Andy Reid were basically the figureheads of this organization in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles, that's when expectations changed for good. There was no more mediocrity, and we're still gonna love the Eagles. They raised the bar for this organization and anybody that followed after. So you can love and hate Andy, you can love and hate Donovan McNabb, whatever it is, but they brought a consistent winning culture to this organization, to this city, as far as the NFL is concerned.
Yeah.
And the fact that McNabb's now been gone for how long he has been, and there's still talk of him, still says a lot.
Right, sure.
I mean, Carson isn't quite I know they won a Super Bowl, but Carson isn't.
It's been a year.
He hasn't done enough
10 games.
yet to be considered the number one quarterback in the organization's history. I mean, then we have other quarterbacks, obviously, too. But for the foreseeable future, number 5 is still the greatest quarterback in the history of this organization.
Yeah, I don't think you can dispute that. I will say one thing.
And he was tough.
Absolutely. Dude, he threw 3 touchdowns on a freaking broken leg.
McNabb was tough as balls, and nobody ever gave him the credit, I don't think, that he deserved for that kind of play.
But it's funny because you mentioned, just to piggyback off what you were saying, you talked about, like, I don't know how anyone in Philadelphia can honestly, like, hate Andy Reid at this point.
Me neither.
How?
But they do.
How? I know they do, and that's what I'm saying. I don't get it because – like, he's responsible for the greatest, other than, obviously they won the Super Bowl, but the greatest prolonged stretch in Eagles history, he's responsible for it. Also, guess what? He's partly responsible for your Super Bowl because he made Doug Peterson his backup quarterback, and he gave Doug Peterson his first NFL coaching job. He brought Doug Peterson to be his offense coordinator in Kansas City, and then recommended to Jeffrey Lurie that he hire Doug Peterson. Mm-hmm. So at this point, I don't understand. If you're an Eagles fan, you hate Andy Reid, you just have hate in your heart. I don't get it.
As someone on here who has said, I hate Andy Reid because of stuff, I joke around about it.
Yeah, you're saying it facetiously.
I don't hate Andy Reid. There are stuff about him, as well as McNabb, that absolutely drove me nuts. However, I will always love and respect Andy Reid and McNabb for what they did. Andy Reid came in here and changed the culture. He gave us a decade, or maybe even more, of great football, and to a point, like I wish I could go back and kind of shake my younger self and be like, listen, enjoy this now, because you are damn spoiled how good this Eagles team is. You don't understand. Like when I was just starting to watch football, and I was watching those teams, I'd be like, oh, we're gonna make it to the playoffs. We're gonna get to the NFC Championship game. Like it was that easy. Like I didn't fully comprehend at that point how difficult doing all that was, and how great of a coach he really was, and all the things that they accomplished. Yeah, they never won a Super Bowl, but I don't hold that so much against them when I look at what they were able to do in totality.
I think people remember the Phillies run and that short spurt that they had for a while with that core that they had, and I think people forget. It was always an Eagles city.
Yeah.
There was a good period of time where the Flyers were making a run at who was the number one team in this city.
Late 90s,
because the Flyers consistently were good.
Yeah.
But when you talk about a prolonged stretch of any of the major sports teams in this city, there's been no team to have a prolonged stretch for as long at the level they did than that Philadelphia Eagles stretch. Mm-hmm. They didn't get it done, and we understand that. But again, that prolonged stretch made the people in the city realize that there's no mediocrity that's acceptable here.
Yeah.
So when Chip came in and then shit basically fell down very quickly, there was a demand. Listen, we're used to winning football. Yeah. We're used to winning in the city now, because then the Phillies, and then you had the Sixers had a short run in the early 2000s. No team in this city, in the history of any organization in this city, has had a prolonged stretch like that Andy Reid, Donovan McNabb era.
Yeah.
So that says a lot, and that needs to be appreciated. And unfortunately, I think people forget about that.
Yeah.
Short memories.
Yeah.
Some people. I mean, I think there's plenty of people like us who appreciate what Andy Reid did and what Donovan McNabb did for this team. Yeah. I think there's just a few outliers that it's just like they hate to hate. I don't get it.
I think it's so difficult because you have. And let me quantify this first by saying a Super Bowl is a Super Bowl. You can't take that away. That's the ultimate prize. That is what you want. However,
they should have gotten one.
Because
let's be honest, we know that they should have gotten one.
The Patriots cheated. No, I'm obviously just kidding around. But it gets lost what they're able to accomplish on a consistent basis for that long. And when I look back on it, I can't say that we had it bad at all, because if you look at just another one of our NFC East rivals, the Giants, they won 2 Super Bowls, one in 2007 and 2011. Outside of those years, what did they do outside of those years? Again, I know they won 2 Super Bowls, and that's great.
No, I get what you're saying.
You get my point, though?
Absolutely.
As in, like, having they were able to win 2 Super Bowls, but were they able to year in and year out for that prolonged period of time while we were having success? Were they able to maintain success every single year? No, they weren't. It's very, very, very
Speaking
difficult.
of a love-hate relationship with their quarterback, I think theirs might be worse than ours.
Yeah.
Because what did Eli? I mean, Eli doesn't like who could Eli piss off? Like he's just Eli. You know what I mean? Like McNabb, you could see it because McNabb had that kind of personality, and he did get, he did have a woe is me thing to him sometimes. But like Eli Manning's Eli Manning. Like, I don't know how. Like if you hate a guy like that, you just kind of just. It's like if for Eagles fan, I get it because he's the Giants starting quarterback, so of course. But I'm saying if you're a Giants fan, I don't know how you just hate Eli Manning. I don't get that at all.
We got a lot more on Facebook, but the thing I'm just going to chime in there, and I've said it time and time again. As much as I love to hate Eli, I appreciate in the sport of football and any sport, iconic players in an organization. He's an iconic guy, and I don't like seeing an organization shit on these guys after everything they've done for that organization. And I think that I never thought I'd see the day that I would be pissed that Eli got
Tell me
benched.
about it.
I just didn't care for the way it went down.
Yeah,
Christopher Lahif says, Philly special, 4th down and goal, Super Bowl. No hesitation on the play call. That might be the best play in Super Bowl history. Michael Jenkinson, might seem silly, but I say Foles' 4th down conversion against the Rams to seal. Great throw. If he loses that game, I think they don't win the Super Bowl.
Aguilar, that was an impressive catch by Aguilar.
Absolutely.
Great throw, great catch. Yep.
Timothy Floria, McNabb had 1, maybe 2 wide receivers this whole time here.
It's very true.
Yes.
Chris Lahif says Andy Reid took advantage of when the division was bad and no competition. He was a great coach versus mediocrity. He was okay versus great teams.
I'm
and
not
then he says
that.
McNabb and Andy. He says McNabb and Reid also need to be held accountable for the 05 debacle with T.O. T.O. also needs to take accountability.
They're all
There's
to blame.
everybody
gets blame on that
Listen,
one.
Everyone.
I choose to absolve them all because they were all just idiots about the whole situation.
Exactly. Amen.
Andy was, McNabb was very pig-headed, and T.O. does not handle these kinds of situations the right way.
So listen, I don't watch this. My girlfriend is an amazing human being. I love her to death. But she watches trash TV. That's just, there's no better way to say it. She watches absolute trash TV. She watches that stupid, she watches that stupid show, The Challenge on MTV.
Oh, I watch The Challenge.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
But he acted like
I don't anymore.
But he acted like a baby.
I was gonna say T.O. couldn't even last on The Challenge because he was such a douche.
He acted like a baby on that.
So it's like he couldn't even handle that. So how was he expected to handle an NFL locker room?
Yeah, he still talks like he had no fault in that.
Like it is.
It's
on that's on Andy, that's on McNabb, and that's definitely on T.O. It's on all 3 of them.
They all acted like little children.
Yes.
And there was no accountability. If they had been mature enough to put like differences aside and act like grown men, we could have had Super Bowls back then. Like, oh my God, people always talk about like with them too, McNabb, T.O., the coaching staff that they had, the defenses we had, Westbrook and all the other weapons we had. That could have been. Well, I'm naming everyone. Dear Lord, like that team, they deserved that coaching staff. That team deserved a Super Bowl, but they couldn't do it because, in large part, because they just messed that whole thing up.
And I don't think it's fair to say that he won against. It was a mediocre division. That's totally not giving him credit.
Yeah.
That's totally not giving him and McNabb credit. They were a really good team. They had a great defense.
Even if you're talking about the division, the conference was still really strong.
Yeah.
And they won multiple rounds every year in the playoffs.
Right.
Yeah.
That Tampa Bay team, that defense was literally one of the greatest defenses of all time that they had, and they lost to him in the NFC Championship game. They beat him a couple times before that. That's one of the greatest defenses ever.
Yeah.
I mean, that game against the Rams that they ended up losing to kind of kick off the
run.
They were close.
That Rams team was ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it wasn't the team that won, but they were pretty damn close to that, and they gave them a hell of a run. Yeah.
They were the favorite against the Patriots that year. That was what started the Patriots dynasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's blame to go around for that kind of stuff. But, again, to me, this is picking out one little thing when you're not looking at the whole picture.
Yeah. So what is the NFC West bad now too, and that's been bad? I mean, they've been down a little bit.
It's not
but
like we only play the NFC East the whole regular season.
Yeah, and he's one game. He's still like it's very clear that for whatever reason Andy Reid can't get over the hump. He can't. For whatever one reason or another, the guy can't get over the hump. And it's got to be – it's not a coincidence. There's got to be some of it has to be him. A lot of it has to be him.
Yeah.
But he has won many, many, many regular season games, has gotten many teams to the playoffs. So you can't take that away from the guy.
Yeah.
Well, here's one question I have for you then, because I agree with a lot of what you guys have said. And
the guys that came off the coaching tree, by the way.
Yes,
that's true
exactly.
too.
Yes.
Going forward in Andy Reid's tenure, in Kansas City, let's say, for example, because I think we all of us in this room are very excited to see what Patrick Mahomes is. I think we all think he's going to be very good.
Segue to the Peters trade, but go ahead.
If he can't make it work with Mahomes, either because Mahomes isn't working or whatever, if it doesn't work out with Mahomes as the quarterback, is that it for Andy and KC? I think so.
I would say that might be it for him as an NFL head coach. He might be getting a coordinator job after that.
Yeah.
Fair.
But here's the thing: I think Mahomes is gonna be really good, and I think let's be real. If there's one thing Andy Reid can do, he gets the best out of quarterbacks.
Absolutely.
He got let's be real. Alex Smith is what he is, but Alex Smith just had before. I mean, if you look at his numbers just on the surface, that's an MVP caliber season Alex Smith just had. Alex Smith just had an MVP caliber. That's not a coincidence that he had that under Andy Reid.
Yeah, I still.
Look at Alex Smith's numbers before. I mean, he had a good 1 or 2, maybe 3-year stretch with San Francisco.
I think it was one.
Yeah,
one,
maybe 2. But you look at how long he was with San Francisco and how long it took him to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say he had sustained success with Kansas City.
He did.
They were a good team. I mean, they weren't obviously a Super Bowl caliber team, but they were a good team.
Talk to any of these coaches who are now off of the Andy tree, and I guarantee if you ask them what it was like to learn under Andy, you'll get nothing but a massive high praise and credit given to Andy. And I don't think it's just to do it out of a courtesy. These guys learned how to be head coaches.
Hey.
And you know what else they learned? Not just the positives. They learned not to make the same mistakes. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Well,
nothing wrong with that.
It's so clear that Doug is – it's amazing how much better of a clock manager Doug is than Andy already. It's incredible. Because you think about that of all – because Doug Peterson's not perfect. He made mistakes. One thing none of us ever complained about was his clock management ever.
Nope.
Yeah.
Not once. I literally cannot think of a single
long time
I complained about his clock management.
That was the first worry. Well, play calling. When he was hired, they're like,
the whole Patriots
clock
game.
management.
Yep.
Clock management. And so credit to Doug P. And if you look at it now, we have 2 people that were under Andy Reid's coaching tree.
Deuce.
Doug Peterson and Deuce. Deuce was here when Andy was still here. And Deuce has
and
lasted
all his
through
guys,
all those regimes.
All his guys are like Brad Childress is still around. Leslie Frazier's still around. Obviously, Ron Rivera is still coaching.
Harbaugh is still the head coach of the Ravens.
That coaching tree is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly look at it as, and this is not to discredit Andy because he's done a lot in this league, just not necessarily in the postseason and obviously in a Super Bowl. But I've never seen a coach so respected by pretty much everyone around the league, whether it's players, obviously the coaches, owners, everything. And I think there's a reason for that. I honestly do. To where the average fan really can't understand because they're not with Andy all the time. I'm not saying he's the best guy in the NFL. I'm not saying any of that. My point is there's a reason why he's so respected.
And let's talk about that T.O. thing because I've never, unless I'm wrong, have I ever heard him say a bad thing about Andy.
Not that I know. Not that I know.
No.
He's never wrapped
or vice
Andy
versa,
up
obviously,
that. So to sit there and say Andy's, I mean, the thing that we could sit back from a distance and say is Andy should have been a moderator between those two and mediated that.
Him and the organization. They coddled McNabb. That was their issue.
He should have mediated that a little bit better. But I mean,
probably
in
tell you
hindsight, they're also grown men and should figure it out.
Yeah.
Listen, I worked multiple jobs, and I worked with people I love, and I work with people I don't love even a little bit. But I learned to coexist because when there is a purpose, when there is an end game that you need to accomplish,
shared goal,
we got to figure out what's your strengths and how we're going to get it done together.
Yeah,
that's it.
And people want to blame Reid and the whole front office, saying that you brought T.O. in, you knew what you were getting, so therefore it's your fault you weren't able to make it work. I think that's a very short-sighted way to look at it.
Incredibly.
Just because you bring someone in who was a bad apple and you give him a good chance to be a Super Bowl contender, Super Bowl champion, with a good team that is established as a winner, that obviously absolves that player from doing wrong. No, if they're doing wrong, if T.O. is still going to act like a stupid child when he says his first year, like, oh, it's not about the money. I want to win a championship. It's not about the money. And then the next year, it's about the money. Like that, it's totally on him as well.
Here's what you have to give Andy so much credit for. What did we all complain about when they lost 3 straight NFC Championship games? You need to get McNabb weapons. You need to get him receivers. So, to your point, Charles, he said, you know what? This guy, he's a little mercurial. Is that the word I'm looking for?
Yeah.
and he's a little bit. It's a little bit of a chance. It's a risk. It's a risk we're taking. But if we want to get to where we want to get to, I need to add a player of this caliber to give McNabb this weapon, and he went out and he did it. It was bold, it was risky, and guess what? They're a couple plays away from winning the damn Super Bowl with him. So it was really. I think it was worth it. It was almost close to being unbelievably worth it.
Everybody loves Brian Dawkins. Go to Brian Dawkins and ask him what his opinion is of Andy Reid. We all love and respect Brian Dawkins. If anybody in this city, I think Brian Dawkins would be the voice of anything, and everybody will believe every word he says.
Yeah.
Go ask him, and he'll give you. I believe he would give you a genuine, honest answer, and I'll tell you how much he loves Andy Reid.
Yeah.
And the example you used, Chrome, with obviously T.O. and McNabb and that whole season and that Super Bowl run, I'm glad you said it because it's honestly fact. Because it's so easy for fans to say, oh well, he needs to be able to control the team. Oh, but to your guys' point, you would expect grown-ups, especially in that light, to put everything aside if there really is an issue.
Self-police yourself.
Oh, just search for a common goal. I mean, dear Lord, everyone gets into that game to win a Super Bowl, if not, get some extra cash. So I'm sorry, if you go and you make everything work, at least in the short term, hell, you can end up with a Super Bowl trophy and you're going to be on freaking plaques forever.
Listen, self-police yourself. It's a simple, common fact. Everybody knows it. It's a common trait that everyone should be able to do. Self-police yourself and figure it out.
And I always see to this day, and not so much now that we finally won the Super Bowl, but so many people were saying for years, "Oh my God, Andy blew it that year. That year was always going to be ours, and he blew it because he wasn't able to control it." Well, guys, freaking first off, the players, just to name T.O. and McNabb, weren't getting along, and 2, T.O. got freaking hurt.
Yeah,
does anyone
forget?
He got hurt. So it's not obviously they got to the point and he did play, but listen, there was so much adversity just in that little span.
Yep.
Andy, he just can't be put to the forefront of it and saying it was his fault.
No. I mean, again, a little bit of accountability, but anybody of those 3, he gets taken way into the backseat of that.
Mm-hmm.
Ray Barziani says Elliott's 61 yards sparked a special energy in the link and kicked off, no pun intended, a 9-game win streak. Dion Brown chiming in.
Hey, Dion.
What up, fellas? Phone at 100% now. Just tuned in. What are we talking about? Let's go. Dion, we're talking our favorite, or we're talking favorite or top play of the regular season. And we've been going on a rant here about Andy and Donovan McNabb and the accountability of this and that. Was it a failure, success?
Andy's legacy, too.
Yeah.
I believe it was Dion who got us into the LeBron conversation.
Dion, stick in, Dion, because you got us the first LeBron conversation, and we're going to have a little more LeBron conversation coming up, buddy.
Todd Womack brings up another.
What up, Todd?
Says another comment that I like. Love those Andy Reid and McNabb years, and especially the Jim Johnson defense. Man, those were great times.
R.I.P. Jim Johnson, man.
Yeah, we need to also mention Jim Johnson because he was a big, huge factor of the success.
Absolutely.
I met him once, Jim Johnson, for only a few minutes, and I'm telling you, it was one of the best experiences of my life. That's how great of a human being Jim Johnson to me came off as, and himself as a person. He was just great to people, great to fans. He's another person that just you talk to anyone that knew him, played under him.
Absolutely.
They have nothing but glowing things to say about Jim Johnson. When he passed away, I don't think I've ever remember being hit as hard as a fan up to that point as it was. And I even was pissed off. I think that was the first time I really, really got pissed off at ESPN because I turned to NFL Network and they had coverage of his passing away. I think someone else had passed away too around the same time, so there was a lot of coverage of both. But NFL Network was giving homage to Jim Johnson. I turned to ESPN and there's almost nothing, no talk about his passing and everything. I think they mentioned it for maybe a minute or two,
Yeah,
and so
I mean, they do that.
Typical.
They do that. They're typical, but I think that was the first time I was like, all right, like, pay some respects. He's arguably one of the best defensive coordinators ever to live. Like,
I don't think it's arguable at all.
Oh, no, yeah. So
I mean, if you're talking,
as I'm saying, like, it affected me because Jim Johnson to me meant that much as a fan.
But if you're talking like, I mean, listen, the coordinators will never go in as coaches into the Hall of Fame. But if that conversation ever does spark up, Jim Johnson's one of the top 3 or 4 names that should get mentioned, obviously. Mm-hmm. And I remember when he passed away, that conversation happened a lot on television with the experts and all that. You know, if there was a wing for defensive coordinators, he would definitely be enshrined.
Him and LeBeau, I think, were the top 2
absolutely.
names.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense.
Well, while you guys are talking about, like, defensive coordinators and stuff, I was actually going to ask you guys, you know, trying to get back to the, your favorite plays. What do you guys think was the best defensive play of the regular season?
Chris Long's
Strip
forced
sack.
fumble on Jared Goff. Because I'm watching it as a fan. I'm watching it, and I know Wentz is out and seriously hurt. I'm in a place where I'm just like looking to cling on to any hope because I'm seeing we're down by 1. It's looking bleak. I don't know what Foles can do as someone who's cold coming into the game late, and you know he has no first team reps or what whatsoever. We can't stop this Rams offense who's marching up and down the field on us. There's like hope is very small, and then if we lose that game, who knows what could have happened without Wentz? You don't know how if we would have been able to win the division or conference or whatnot. That fumble, I think, gave still like everyone hope.
Well, I think just to summarize what he's saying, you got a team that is going to be a major competition going into the playoffs. All that adversity, you have no idea what's going on with your starting MVP caliber quarterback. A big play like that, which essentially got us around to pretty close to sealing that game. That was a huge moment. And I think from then, that was when we realized this defense we're really going to need this defense to win the Super Bowl, to have a shot at winning a Super Bowl. And to me, that was such a pivotal moment for the defense against a team like the Rams, who's also like us on the rise with a young quarterback, to make that play in that spot that late in the season when we needed to win that game showed a lot.
See, I would say, so looking at it big picture, I would say the first game of the season with the Brandon Graham sack and the Fletcher Cox fumble recovery, because that set a tone that this defense was going, no matter what happened, this defense was going to come up with a big play at the end of the game, whether they were getting beat all game, whatever, because that's what happened. Think about, there's a really good parallel, actually, between the Rams game and the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Because the Rams in the second half made huge adjustments. Todd Gurley scorched them in the second half, and it was not looking very good. And when the Rams got the ball back, you thought there was nothing that made you think, man, the Rams aren't going to score. And then Chris Long comes out with the big strip sack, and it was the same thing with the Super Bowl. You thought, all right, Tom Brady's got the ball, he's going to score, and Brandon Graham comes in and gets a strip sack. It's just that first play kind of set a tone for the entire season that this defense was going to come up big.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you 2 other situations, and I agree with everything you guys have said. If you want to talk about one singular play, it is the one you just mentioned. As far as scenarios and situations, it happens in both of the following games after the Rams game.
Oh, the Giants game and then,
keeping the Giants, a team that had 2 wins at the time, out of the end zone in a game where the defense, in all honesty, really did not show up, especially compared to earlier in the season. That's where Foles absolutely – I was texting people saying, is this Carson Wentz 2.0? So, number one, to be able to get out of there with a victory proved to me, okay, maybe this defense can show up in key situations when they really don't have it at all.
Right.
The very next week, Christmas night versus the Raiders. Putrid game. Putrid.
I was there.
By all means.
It was rough.
And this is not just one play. It is the fact that the defense was able to pick up the pieces for a lack of any type of NFL offense on our part, and was able to constantly cause turnover, to where the Raiders weren't allowed to even be able to get 3 points out of it. And that completely solidified that no matter what, if they suck in the first half, if they suck in the first 3 quarters, this team can win any way possible.
That's right.
And I think that's really strong because say they drop both of those games, well, number one, they're not the 1 seed.
Exactly.
No, and again, I said this before. I think people, because of what their record looked like and the way the majority of their season went, Oakland looked like a terrible team. But down the stretch, they played much, much better. Marshawn Lynch looked like he finally got back into shape, game shape. He was playing very well going into that game there. And, I mean, let's not forget what the conditions were like. I mean, you couldn't throw the football. It was like throwing a rock around.
Right. It was cold.
And I felt like that, and you're right, and that play at the end of the game with the strip, and then I think it was Barnett that ran the football in.
Or which one?
The Raiders game.
The Raiders game was
Barnett. Yeah, it was Barnett at the end of the game,
Again, another huge play at the end of a game to seal it.
Yep.
And now, I mean, we're just talking about it, and I'm like, damn, there was a lot of
strip
sacks.
Yeah.
Like, not even talking about the interceptions.
Yeah.
We're just talking how many huge strip sacks in the last 2 minutes of a game or 3 minutes of a game did this team come up with? From the start of the season to through to the Super Bowl with Brandon Graham.
Dude, it's funny because the two biggest things you need in the NFL are a franchise quarterback and a really good front four that can get pressure. And the Eagles have both. And they're both locked up for a pretty good amount of time.
To me, I love that you brought that up, Ryan, because to me, the hallmark of a great defense isn't just the stats they put up, whether they can keep opponents to so-and-so points or so-and-so yards. To me, that's all great. That's all crucial. It's all great signs of a great defense. But you need to show me that you will make the play at the it's not – It's the same thing as when you're evaluating a quarterback. In crunch time, are you going to make the play? So, in the defense, like, to me, you give me a defense who will grind it out, and, they might get beat. But if they can show me that no matter what game circumstance is, in the crunch time, will they make the play to make the difference and to win the game? That was this defense. That was this Eagles 2017 defense. And it wasn't always pretty. It wasn't always, consistent. But what was consistent was the big play, and that they believed in each other. They played so well as a unit that every phase of defense worked so well, and they were able to come up with the turnovers or the stops or whatnot to be able to win the games.
There is no sport in professional sports where every game is perfectly won.
Exactly.
There are ugly games. There are absolutely beautiful games. There are toughly contested games on both sides. But you have to understand, and that was one of the things that during the season would kind of drive me crazy when people would say, like, the Raiders game, it was an ugly game, they got lucky. Listen.
They won.
I'm a broken record, but I'm going to say it again. How many ugly games does Pittsburgh have every season, and they win? They play up to teams, they play down to teams, and they win some ugly, shitty games against Cleveland.
Yeah.
So let's this is just – but to Pittsburgh's point, to Pittsburgh's credit, when it's time to play, Ben could suck for 58 minutes in a game. And Eli could suck for 58 minutes in a game. But when they hit that 2-minute drill going down the field, how many times do you see those guys step up on offense?
Yeah.
How many times do you see the defenses stop and make stops and plays? The Baltimore Ravens. I can't remember the last time I seen the Ravens have a perfect season when they were playing in their last two Super Bowls. Even like when even the first one when they won with Trent Dilfer, they had a decent offense. That defense carried them though, and they could have ugly games, but they won when it came down to crunch time to make a play.
Yeah.
So when people were getting up in arms about, Foles didn't look great here, or Jalen Mills missed this, or Torrey Smith dropped this pass, or they're dinking and dunking on us. They're not making. But when it got to the red zone, it was time to shut it down. They shut it down. When they had to make a play and get a strip sack, God damn, how many of those did we have this season?
A whole lot.
Appreciate that shit, guys, and understand next year if we make another Super Bowl run, it's not going to be all rainbows and butterflies. We're not all going to be passing out Lucky Charms and enjoying the ball. We're gonna have ugly games, but have confidence in this team because now they've proven they can win these games in the trenches.
Mm-hmm.
So first off, I thank you guys for having this conversation because the last couple weeks I've kind of moved on, got into Philly Sixer stuff. It's bringing me back, which is phenomenal. It's like, oh my God, this stuff actually happened. I didn't dream it for the last 6 months.
Don't forget, brother, we're still Super Bowl champions.
Oh, that's very true. That won't change.
We can talk about whatever we want.
The second part of it as a whole with this defense, and I thought a lot of people outside, because we always talked about it, on A2D, is that, and no one really, I think a lot of people forgot about it or really didn't put it full circle, is that it was so key every game going into a game to where we could confidently say that our opponent had no chance in hell of running the ball against us. It was it was almost a non-story when we'd come in here every Tuesday or Wednesday. It's that, listen, we're not worried about beast mode. We're not worried about this guy. We're not worried about Ezekiel Elliott. We're not, because our run defense is so clutch. It's so good. And to where, what's the one thing we were all saying when we faced Matt Ryan, when we faced Case Keenum, even when we faced Tom Brady? You stop the run, then you open up the floodgates.
Yep.
And that's exactly what they were able to do early. I mean, you saw in that Vikings game, I know we're talking regular season, but just in that Vikings game, as soon as our defense was able to stop their run game, open up the floodgates, the second play after that, it's the Patrick Robinson pick six.
Yeah.
Yep.
Instantly.
Absolutely.
And I just feel like that's just one thing that's maybe the forgotten key that a lot of people think of.
They took it for granted.
I mean, they took play action out of their playbook all season.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
James Wilder jumping in. Sup, boys? LOL.
What up, James?
At swimming lessons.
Yay.
God, I hope you got your floaties on, James.
Yeah.
Hashtag 61-yarder. Hashtag mic drop. Peace out.
Sweet.
Frank Vespi. Sup, boys? Sorry to bother you at work. That's all good, buddy. It's all fam talk. Answering the poll, all of them. Dion Brown says, great teams find ways to win sloppy games. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It sure is.
Are you done on Facebook? Sorry.
Yeah, get a few of the YouTube in. We're going to take a break in about 3 minutes.
TTP Ballin says, Todd Womack first. Let's go with him. T.O. admitted that if things went differently, they would have won a Super Bowl.
He also still blamed McNabb, though.
Yeah. Foolish Demon says, you mean if T.O.'s ego wasn't the size of Texas and McNabb didn't throw balls in the dirt?
Oh, man.
He also says Eagles hadn't allowed a fourth-quarter point in the last 2 minutes all season.
Yep.
Great stat.
That is a great stat.
Now, TTP Ballin says that Foles throw versus the Rams was a great moment, instilled some confidence in the fan base, and was the start to a Super Bowl run. And then he says...
That's true, but we lost that confidence real quick.
Yeah. And then
real quick.
He asked...
Till the Atlanta game.
He asked a question
we
can all of us can answer real quick, give our quick thoughts before break. But he asked, what do you think about moving Foles, obviously for sufficient value in return, and bringing in Bridgewater as a backup? Let's go to you first.
You're going to go to me first?
Yeah.
So, here's the thing with this. I don't think the Eagles are wrong. This is kind of a cop-out, but it's not a cop. It's the truth. I don't think the Eagles are wrong either way.
Yeah.
If they trade him, you're taking a big chunk off your cap, and you're going to get an asset. Because like you said, Charles, you're not going to trade him unless you're getting something for him.
Yeah.
Or you could choose to keep him, and you have you have a Super Bowl MVP as an insurance policy for Carson Wentz.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know that I blame them either way. I really it's a tough decision. It's a really tough decision.
Good way to look at it.
I can't really blame them either way. As far as it let's say the theoretical happens that they do move Foles. No, I don't want Teddy Bridgewater because I don't want. I think Teddy Bridgewater is going to go somewhere where he'll have a chance to compete for a starting spot. As well he should.
Yeah.
Because he's finally healthy, and he should go somewhere. And there's plenty of teams. We all know there's plenty of teams that need quarterbacks. So if I were him, I would go to a team like a Denver or so a team that needs a quarterback, Arizona, one of those kind of teams.
Yeah.
I would look for a more veteran player and a more durable player. There's no guy that's really coming to my mind other than maybe like a Case Keenum.
Yeah,
but I also think Case Keenum coming off off a really good season,
Expensive.
he'll probably get a shot somewhere.
Yeah.
You know the name I'm going to say because I'm laughing already.
Sam Bradford.
Please say it.
Sam Bradford.
Yes!
That's
Yes,
what I
I was
had in
gonna
mind
say
too.
it.
I had it
Go
in mind.
to break right now.
No,
Let's
no,
go.
no.
End you with
And
Bradford.
in my head, I was laughing about it too because that was the name I had in mind. Now,
would that be the worst thing in the world?
No, it wouldn't.
As a backup quarterback?
How full circle?
Not as a backup.
circle
Oh,
would
it
that
would be totally full
Not
circle. Great.
not as a
God.
backup. If they're that high on Sudfeld, you have a decent enough behind Bradford so that if there's an issue, if they're that confident in Sudfeld.
And I think so. You look at it like this: So let's say theoretically, Wentz can't get back. Let's say he's out the first 4 weeks. You can go 2-2 with Sam Bradford, and he can keep you afloat. That's my opinion. I'm saying at worst.
I'd say 3-1 with Sam Bradford.
No, but I'm saying
schedule. So that's just me.
I'm saying at worst.
Listen,
at worst,
okay,
they could go 2-2. He can keep the team afloat until Wentz is ready.
But to add to what Paulie's saying, and it's kind of probably going to counter the Bradford thing, but actually him and Keenum were the two names I had in mind. If I'm looking at this whole scenario, and actually I'm probably going to get RG3 might be a guy I'd give a look at too.
Interesting.
At least a look.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But
a look is fine. Yeah, I wouldn't. But
a year out of football is what scares me.
But what, to just kind of add on to your thing, my concern with these guys is we already have a question mark on our starting quarterback. I'm not moving a guy who's healthy and a Super Bowl MVP to bring in somebody else with not just a question mark as far as the system, actually getting on the field and what they can produce.
But
it's hard to argue. It's hard to argue that.
He knows a similarity to the offense.
I'm saying
the system.
He was under
right, but I'm taking that part out. I'm saying not even including that.
Okay.
Take that out because you're always going to have the concern anyway.
Yeah.
Regardless of if he's been in a similar offense, he's still going to fit this team in this offense. Take that out. I don't want somebody who's a question mark injury wise, especially the huge question marks on all these guys. At least with RG3, he's been out long enough that he should be somewhat healed at this point.
Then the big question mark, he hasn't played football in a year.
And I understand, which is why I say give him a look, maybe a camp invite to take a look at him. But that being said,
see, this is why
I don't know that I move him. Again, I'm not moving Foles unless I get like a top.
No, I got to get a good pick.
Yeah,
it's got to be. It's got to be great competition in order for me to make a move.
This is why I think Bradford would be perfect to bring in for one. Contract-wise, he's already made a crap ton of money. I'm sorry, I'll try to be quick.
No,
he's
good.
He's already made.
He'll try.
I'll try. I will try.
Extend for 5 minutes. I wasn't saying that.
He's already made a crap ton of money. Money's not going to be an issue with him. Two, he was cleared by the doctor to be completely healthy from whatever he had last season. So I know he's injury prone. But the thing is, and I guess you can go into my third point, is this coaching staff still does believe they're very, very, very high on Nate Sudfeld. They are. You hear what John DiFilippo said in his opening press conference?
Yeah.
Like glowing remarks about Sudfeld and saying like he's going to be a good player. So you have insurance for your insurance. And look what you said, if he's going to be out only 4 weeks, Bradford, I know he played one game last year and that was it, but still going into a season.
He was phenomenal in that one game, by the way. That would have been the best game he's ever played in his entire career.
Not maybe. That was the best game he ever played.
He was phenomenal in that game. Taking hits, making great throws.
Are you telling me that level of play is the upside we can get for taking a risk of maybe just having someone reliable for only 4 games and still having someone in place of him who can come in and still in Nate Sudfeld, who the coaching staff believes in, I think you're getting insurance that is good like Foles for cheaper.
And I'm also confident on this offensive line that they can protect
and the running game in general,
and the running game, and the blockers in the backfield at the second level.
Exactly.
Here's another point I'll make: Bradford was already here. He knows the city. He knows what to expect. There's a lot of guys still here from when he was here. Nelson Aguilar was here. Zach Ertz was here. He's going to have a little bit of a rapport with some of these guys.
Oh, yeah.
That's another thing. That's not a small thing. You know what I mean? Like that's a thing. That's a factor.
All right, bring him in.
Hold on,
I'm running an email
Ryan's
to
jumping in real quick.
You got anything over on Facebook?
Facebook, I don't have anything on Facebook. We're good.
Emailing Howie Roseman right now.
All right, on that case then, it is time for our favorite time of the week,
Sweeps.
It's Uncle Sweeps time.
Yeah,
Sweeps. I told him I would get him his own intro music.
Go Cards, Sweeps.
Yes.
So he starts off by saying, "What's up, boys? Great show as usual."
What up, Sweeps?
I wrote somewhere earlier that even though I hate field goals and kickers, a.k.a. Chris Lyons, he says, for me, the 2 Elliott kicks were absolutely monstrous. In the Giants game, after blowing a 14-point lead, Elliott tied it at 24 with 50 seconds left. And then, of course, the bleeping 61-yard bomb walk-off, which allowed the Birds to escape a would-be terrible early season loss in the division and would have started 1-2, and they ended up with a victory. That has been Uncle Sweeps.
Uncle Sweeps, love that drop-in weekly.
Yes.
Go Cards, Sweeps. All right, we're going to take a quick break, about a 5-minute break, guys. On the other side, we got LeBron talk. I think we're going to jump in some Flyers. continue Eagles talk. If you want to talk some baseball, throw some baseball into us too, guys. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. And if Sweeps, if you want to jump back in, buddy, is that his exit? Is that his exit music now?
I had it queued up, so I might as well I'll play it.
Yeah, play it out to that. Yeah. First half brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountants. Tax season, guys, make them yours. Live from the BMW of Atlantic City studios. We're going to take a break. We'll get back to that Scanzano Sports question of the week. Guys, we'll see you on the other side.
Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
Welcome back to Birds of a Feather, second half of the show, live from the BMW of Atlantic City Studios, bmwofatlanticcity.com. Second half brought to you by StreamSmart, streamsmart.com. Our Scanzano Sports poll question, guys. We talked a lot about it the first half. We're going to get into it again the second half, if you so wish to do so. What was the Eagles' top play of the 2017 regular season? We know the Philly special, guys. It was an amazing play. We had a whole lot of plays in the playoffs. We're talking regular season plays. But if you want to talk those playoff plays, hey, we're still champs. We could do that too. We got Carson Wentz's scramble and TD pass to Nelson Aguilar week 1 against the Redskins. Jake Elliott's 61-yard field goal week 3 against the Giants. Nelson Aguilar's 72-yard catch and run versus the Cardinals in week 5. Other plays, we talked about quite a number. Charles even ran down a list of 2 or 3 plays from each game. Chime in. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, anywhere. We're here.
Anywhere.
A2DRadio.com. Fam talk, guys.
Hashtag.
So, Charles, go ahead, Charles. Kick us off. I know you wanted to get into a little bit of conversation about the Marcus Peters trade.
Yeah, I mean, I know we talked about it a little bit, mainly Paulie and I, but the Marcus Peters trade, I'm sure you guys all already heard about it, obviously. The Chiefs traded Peters to the Rams for 2019 4th-round pick and a 2018 4th-round pick and then 2019 2nd-round pick. Initially, I still think that's not a lot in return. But I understand the circumstances. I understand that you have a malcontent cornerback on that team. You're probably not gonna try to sign after his final year of this contract, to that big of a deal, because he is arguably a top 5, top 10 cornerback in the league. He's the lead and shown what he can do. But what teams know what he is in the locker room. Teams know he's a bit of a hothead. Paulie's over here watching the game.
Sorry.
Oh, he's a big.
There's a lot of weird things that I don't really understand. Because Dwayne Wade's old, he just gets calls cool.
Oh yeah. But to me, it seems a little bit like, the Chiefs got what they could earlier on, instead of being stuck later on and not ending up with anything. I get that, and I guess they salvaged what they could get when they could get something. But to me, giving up a talent like that, I just felt like they were kind of in a lose-lose situation where you're downgrading your position, and the value of what you're getting back isn't as high as it you usually can be. You usually can get for an elite cornerback. You're talking about an elite cornerback, and then it's just, to me, the Rams just made out so well, because they're getting someone who can fit their scheme very, very well. You're talking about Wade Phillips, whose defensive system is a cornerback friendly system, because he generates pressure with the pass rush, and the cornerbacks don't really have to cover that much. Peters is a cornerback that tends to peek into the backfield. He likes to keep an eye on the quarterback and what he's looking at, and he takes gambles. But in the system like Wade Phillips, he can do that better than in Kansas City. So I think his production will be even better than it was before. And I think that the Rams, the risk they're taking on, was definitely worth it to get a guy like Peters. And that's just my thing. I think that the Chiefs did what they had to do in a sense. I think, Paulie, you kind of talked me into it. I think I understood what they were coming from, where you were coming from, and the Chiefs side more and more. But to me, it's just like, wow, that's all they got in return for an elite cornerback. I think it's just crazy knowing that that's what the Rams got.
And Dan Hudson on Facebook says, I just have a tough time believing that's the best they could have gotten for Peters. It seems like the Chiefs jumped the gun and probably could have held out for more, considering he's a top 5 to 10 quarterback. But and maybe so, but I like God. You jump in you were.
There were rumors that I think it was the Colts and one other team. There was rumor that they were involved. Then it came to when after the trade broke, it turned out that those teams actually weren't involved. So I think that the Rams were kind of bidding against themselves on this one anyway. I don't think anyone. You have to understand, like, 'cause I think as Charles, like, this is the thing I was conveying to you when we were chatting about it. Like, Marcus Peters, from a pure football talent standpoint, it absolutely is a top 5 cornerback in this league. Mm-hmm. He's a phenomenal player, and as you said to me, and you're absolutely right, number one, shutdown corners do not grow on trees. Those are really hard players to get, really hard players to come by. When you get one late in the first round, I think he was like the 22nd overall pick.
Yeah.
When you get a guy like that, that's something special, and that you got really good value out of that. And here's what it is with Peters, though. The biggest thing, like you alluded to, he is a malcontent. He's got a bad attitude. And it's not just with the Chiefs. The reason why he went number 22 in the draft, he got kicked out of Washington's football team in college. There was a reason why. It wasn't because of talent that he dropped in the draft. Mm-hmm. If he was just drafted off of pure talent, he probably would have been a top 10 pick. Mm-hmm. But because of that baggage he carried, Andy Reid took a chance. He said, you know what? I'm going to give this kid a chance. And I'm sure they've had, when they drafted him, I'm sure they had many conversations saying, hey, this is what you did. We're looking past it. This is what we expect from you. This is how we expect to conduct this is how we expect you to conduct yourself. Mm-hmm. He did not live up to his end of the bargain. Mm-hmm. So on top of that, he's due for an extension.
Yeah.
So they were going to have to commit. I think like the top corner, like Patrick Peterson, they all make around $15 and $16 million a year. Mm-hmm. You're going to commit that kind of money long term to a guy that you don't know what's good. Like, he left the field during a game.
Yeah.
He left the field.
Yeah,
and then when they forced him to come back on the field, he wasn't wearing socks.
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me? Like, that's inexcusable. I don't care how great of a player you are. Mm-hmm. You can't do stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's the NFL. Like, we just talked about T.O. in the last segment. Like, there's got to be a point where these guys are held accountable for their actions. And this is kind of like this. If this should be a wake-up call to Marcus Peters.
Yeah. I was
because
allude to that.
Because you're right. The value for the player he is garbage. Mm-hmm. But it's because of his attitude and the way he carries himself. So this should be his wake-up call of saying, damn, if I want to get paid, I better ball out for the Rams and I better get my shit together.
That's what I'm like. I think that it's going to even look worse for the Chiefs going forward from just like a straight-on outside point of view, because I really do think Peters now is going to be even – oh, it's only him.
I got it too. We don't have popcorn
now. It's just the Chiefs are going to look worse because I really believe he's going to want to prove a point. He was on NFL Network last night, and they had him rank his top 5 corners in the NFL. Number 5 was Marcus Peters. Number 4 was Marcus Peters.
Dial on.
Like, he is going to be motivated to prove a point. And like I said, Wade Phillips' system is cornerback friendly. He is going to do really, really well. And so he's going to ball out, and then even more people are going to say, this is all the Chiefs got. And, I get what you're saying, and I don't disagree. I think you definitely got me. When it first happened, you guys saw me on the chat. I was like, what the heck just happened? Like, that was it. But then, Paulie, you got me to kind of understand more. It's just, it's crazy to think that it was that bad, to the point where Andy Reid was willing to give up that type of talent for that little.
And it's timing too. Like everything's about time. With these trades, everything's about timing.
Yeah.
The Eagles got a 1st and a 4th for Sam Bradford. Speaking of Sam Bradford, they got a 1st and a 4th for the guy.
Yeah.
Who we all kind of agreed here that we don't mind Sam Bradford, but I am not giving up a 1st round and a 4th round pick for Sam Bradford.
Not.
They had the Vikings over a barrel, and so they made the move. In this particular instance, the Rams kind of had the Chiefs over a barrel because they knew they were actively trying to move him. So the Rams knew they weren't going to give them a first-round pick because they knew, like I said, they were almost kind of bidding against themselves in a way because the other teams that were reportedly interested weren't actually interested. So
it is what it is. It's just great. Now this is pretty much showing that they're done with Tremaine Johnson. So they're going from Tremaine Johnson to who's also a really
Tremaine
good
Johnson's
cornerback.
a damn good player
he
too.
Is
yeah,
a really good cornerback. I don't know if I would have him as on the same level.
No,
but
he's a tier below.
I think I hear.
Yeah, he's a tier.
He's
He's a borderline Pro Bowl caliber corner, borderline.
Yeah.
Whereas Marcus Peters is an All Pro caliber corner. So I mean, it's like a different tier for sure.
Tom says Charles doesn't want round 2. #DebateGate.
I'm waiting for you, Tom.
I just don't have popcorn.
I'm waiting.
I didn't bring any.
I need
waiting.
popcorn for that.
And by the way, Tom, these two agree with me. So I mean, if you're scared because now you're outnumbered. Totally understandable. I'll be here waiting.
Wait, what am I
and you know what?
on?
And you know what?
And you know what? Mills is a number 1.
I wouldn't.
Oh, right.
And I wouldn't even need to yell during this debate because I know I am
you're
right.
You're gonna yell.
I can just be calm and be like, "Listen, Tom, you're wrong. It's okay."
They're both wrong. I'm coming.
Oh man, I love it. We got gummy bears. I guess that'll do. Maybe we don't have popcorn. We got gummy bears.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, I don't have much else to contribute to it. I do believe that when character comes into play, and there's this at this point, this elongated period of time where it's a consistent issue, that's what it is. You hurt your value.
It's a pattern of behavior.
Hey, listen, why do guys drop in the draft? Why do guys who should be first-rounders drop to second and third-rounders? It's no different. If you continue to do that during your playing career in the pros, your value drops. Before they're in the pros, when they're in the draft, that is their value, is their draft positioning, because that's how they lose money.
Yeah.
Because from where they're drafted with their guaranteed money. So at this point, he's now continuing to hurt himself going through this stage of his career. Yeah. So it's a show me year for him now. And for the Rams, they didn't give up much to give him a shot. Yeah. They could have a superstar Pro Bowl cornerback who actually gets his fucking head on straight. Yeah. Or they didn't give up that much, really, to take a shot at him.
Even if they only get the next 2 years out of him,
right?
And he plays at an All-Pro level, but he's an asshole and then winds up walking, it's still not bad for the Rams. It's not a terrible deal for the Rams, especially if they win some games with him. I mean, that's they're a team that obviously has They have a bigger picture in mind, and they got to the playoffs this year. They lost in the divisional round, but they hosted a playoff game. They look like they're. It looks like it's going to be them and San Francisco going forward for that division. So
Tom says that's a lie. Fuck it, I'm coming down. I have popcorn, Paul.
Yeah.
James Wilder said, "Whoa! I could smell DebateGate breaking out.
Nice.
I know it."
Round 2. Todd Womack says, David Rosca. David Rosca says my Rams hit a jackpot with that trade. My
potentially
with that trade, my Rams are the odds-on favorite for the Super Bowl championship.
Oh, here we go.
Rams will beat the Eagles for the NFC championship.
Here we go.
He's confident. And then Todd Womack does say that, they did.
This is also the same guy who's putting his horses behind Mandy Rose, who's been the first eliminated in World War I.
Todd Womack does say, funny you mentioned that, Todd Womack does say Mandy and the Rams got a lot in common. They both are the first to get eliminated. LOL.
Oh! It's getting feisty. It's getting feisty in the YouTube chat.
I do love Mandy Rose. You're all good. But no, I mean that's really all I have. I mean it's a show me year. I always say it's gut check year. He's got to get his shit together.
Yeah.
Or, who knows? And with Wade Phillips,
or he ain't gonna get paid.
With Wade Phillips, if he can't get his shit together with Wade Phillips, then we got a problem.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, definite problem.
I said that too. If you're gonna give him to a coach, Wade Phillips is a pretty damn good coach to give him to.
And especially you're talking about guys and coordinators. So if there was a Hall of Fame for defensive coordinators,
Wade Phillips would probably be the first guy to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So. Do we want to get into LeBron now?
Yeah, let's do it.
Ryan, do you want to get into LeBron, Ryan? No, you don't.
Ryan wants to get out of LeBron.
Come on,
All right,
Ryan.
So obviously this week we posted a picture with LeBron James in a Sixers uniform. Will he be a Sixer? Will he not be a Sixer? And I think the LeBron hate is strong, and it's
I don't get it.
Kind of ridiculous.
I never got
don't get it.
I never understood it.
No, I don't. Don't say. I'm not going to say I never understood it.
I agree.
Because here's what it is. So when he first came to the league, I was young. I don't know how old. I mean, I'm old now. How old was he?
He's a year, I think, older than us.
We were seniors.
See, we were in high school.
Seniors.
We were in high school when
We're
LeBron
seniors
James was a rookie, right?
Yeah.
So I loved him because he was like, he was a kid. So I loved
Yeah.
him. I loved him coming out. I loved him for his years in Cleveland.
We lived vicariously through him.
Yeah, in a way, in a weird way, sure. Because Lord knows I was not 6'8" and unbelievably freakishly gifted.
Yeah.
But and then when everything happened with the decision, a lot of people soured on him, and I was one of them. I soured on him big time with the decision thing.
That was in poor taste.
For a lot of different reasons, I soured on him, and I didn't love the super team idea.
Yeah.
But if you look at it, this is how influential this guy is. That's now the formula to win now in the NBA.
Right.
He created it by doing that.
Well, Boston. People forget Boston.
Well, yeah, but they didn't. It's different. It's a little different because it's a little different.
I think the idea behind it is the same. It's just that it wasn't to that magnitude. You're talking about with Boston, they were forming together. Yeah, they were a little late in their careers, but they were still top-notch players who wanted to form together for a championship.
But here's the thing: they already had Paul Pierce. They traded for Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett. They didn't sign them. This was a coordinated effort by 3 players to sign on one team.
After the
I get it.
That was pretty unprecedented at the
Mhm.
time. Well, sorry. Well, D-Wade was re-signing, but still.
Yeah.
But it's. I soured on him. I was one of the people who soured on him. I wasn't a fan of him doing that. When he went back to Cleveland, he won me back. He totally did. He won me back when he went back to Cleveland. Now I think he's earned the right. He won that city. Talk about a championship starved city. He won that city a championship. I think he has now earned the right this year free agency to do whatever the hell he wants.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is that going to be coming to the Sixers? I don't know. LeBron doesn't freaking know. I mean, no one knows. They can't know. Is there a lot of things that are here that are intriguing to him?
Yes.
The fact that you have Embiid, the fact that you have Ben Simmons, the fact that you have Markelle Fultz, maybe, I don't know. Dario Saric he's a great glue player. Like Covington is a great role player. Listen, Covington is what he is.
Yeah.
He's a role player. He's a streaky
I'd like
shooter.
him a lot better off the bench as a scoring option.
Exactly, and that's what he would be if LeBron came in.
Exactly.
That's what he would be.
Shift him down to that role.
So my point is they have a guy like a Rashawn Holmes who could you imagine Rashawn Holmes doing some pick and roll with LeBron James? That would be a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. So I mean they have pieces in place. They have a coach that I think he would really like to play for because he loves Pop. We all know that LeBron loves Pop.
Yep.
And this is a Pop disciple that he would be playing for. I don't know his relationship with Colangelo's. I don't know how that would go. I mean, I honestly just don't know. I don't know how he would be. I don't know how he would be with the ownership group of Josh Harris and all them. Mm-hmm. I'm sure he'd like him more than Dan Gilbert.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I know one team that we've talked about would be Houston would be a possibility. With Houston, I worry that team has some really strong leadership. Mike D'Antoni's a really strong-headed coach. Daryl Morey's a really strong-headed GM. That might be a tough situation for him in that extent, but at the same time, you're playing with the guy to me who is this year's MVP in James Harden, and a guy in Chris Paul who is also playing out of his freaking mind. So if you got that trio together, that is a team that would challenge Golden State, undoubtedly.
Yeah.
So to me, for LeBron, I think it boils down to those two teams, or if Cleveland really does some work going back to Cleveland.
For anybody to say that you don't want LeBron James on your team is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. First of all, LeBron James is the only player I could think of to actually even be put up in a conversation against Michael Jordan. Let's just start with that, okay? Now, you've already kind of touched on – oh, shit.
Sweeps?
No.
Or is this –
No,
oh.
Oh, here he is. Yeah. Hold on.
The only issue I have was I don't not want LeBron. Let me clarify.
I don't know if you're –
I can't hear you.
Am I on?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Hey, good to have you. Good to see you. No, I don't have an issue with LeBron's the best player in the world. Of course I would want the best player in the world. My only hiccup with the whole situation is he can't touch the basketball here. I have the best young guard in basketball who's changing the point guard position like Magic did. I can't take the ball out of his hands ever. So if LeBron comes here who needs the basketball in his hands a lot, if he's okay with being the 3, fine. Like if we're running the 3, but he's not coming here and taking over a young team that's on the rise. He's going to come and be a huge part and help his team win a championship, get us on broad. But he cannot be because now I'm taking my 20-year-old kid and I'm regressing him.
I don't think he would because I think he would take Covington's spot. I think he would take Covington's spot at the 3, and I think what he would do is help Simmons because we all know LeBron.
Well, this is what I've been saying all week.
We all know LeBron.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna hurt him.
Play. Yeah, I think LeBron. We've all seen him play point. He can play the point. Now, if it's point forward, that's art. You can say that, but he's played
you can play
point.
LeBron at any
but
position on the court.
What you can do is off the court, outside of games, in practices, he will coach Ben in different nuances in terms of running the point, give him pointers. But then when it comes to game time, Brett Brown already talks about positionless basketball, correct? So it's not like he's going to have a defined, hey, you're at the 3. But I think Simmons is going to still remain as the primary ball handler, and behind him, maybe they'll still split it between TJ coming off the bench, or in some spots they'll have LeBron carry off the ball. So I got
another 20-year-old kid, though. I got another 20-year-old kid who was my first overall pick who needs the ball in his hands, too.
Well, see,
that's fine. Like, positional basketball is great. Like, hey, you catch a rebound, go. And I think that's what Showtime Lakers were all about, is that a bunch of different guys who could handle the basketball up the court, and it was rebound and go. So, yeah, dude, anybody, like Chrome said, like, I completely agree with you. Like, anybody who doesn't want LeBron, that's crazy talk. Now, is there, like, little nuances that you would want to, like –
you got to work it out.
Yeah, of course. But he's a worker, man. I don't think he's as much as –
he's unselfish,
too.
I don't think
he's as much as, like, a cancer, and I air quote this, as people want to make him out to be. Like, the guy wants to win. And at the end of the day, it's his legacy. It's what's going to define him. And like Paulie said, when he left and went to Miami, hey, man, that didn't hurt me. But as a basketball fan, I'm like, that's a cop-out. But like you said, when he went back to Cleveland to go back and finish unfinished business, that changed my opinion on him.
Yeah.
And as a leader, and he's never going to be Jordan to me because there's nobody ever will.
Yeah, no.
Nobody ever will.
Agree.
But he's the closest thing that we'll see besides Kobe that has that Jordan.
Well, let's talk
about. You want me to tear that ass up or what?
Because
listen, if you give me 30 seconds, maybe even a minute, I'll explain to you quickly and get off of your guys' goddamn show on why he's a legit number 1 corner in this league. And I'm going to start with one thing. If he was drafted in Sidney Jones' position, just hear me out on this. Because we're all based off of guys' draft positioning, determining who they are, right? It's just the way, it's the nature of the beast, right? So anybody who's a first-round pick, corner-wise, okay, we're always going to assume they have all the attributes to be a number 1 corner, right? Well, this guy's a 7th-round draft pick. So he's automatically coming into it as an underdog, the key word, as an underdog, and as a guy that nobody thinks has the talent to be a number 1 corner. I'm going to tell you why he is. Because, and I wasn't directing this at you, I was really directing it at a fan base that is video game heavy and never puts the mental side of it in. Like, this guy's a worker. He'll outwork you, all right? His mental side of it, his confidence makes up for some of the things that he might lack. But guess what? This guy was a number 1 corner on one of the best defenses in football. And I get it. Listen, it goes the front 4, getting after the quarterback. It all comes in a cohesive unit to make guys good. I get that. But this guy started. When Darby was out, this guy held it down. He's going against every number 1 corner that he's faced. He's lived up to the challenge in his 2nd year. We got to remember this. It's only his 2nd year. The leaps I saw from year 1 to year 2 is what puts him as a legit number 1 in this league. And what I mean by number 1 is, can he be a number 1 corner on 15 teams in this league? And if you can say he is, he's a legit number 1 in this league, because that's all it is. I mean, this guy was an alternate Pro Bowler, which tells you he's at least top 12 in the voters' eyes on where they see him. Now, granted, that's with success. I understand that, okay? But still, I mean, he has all the makings. We don't know what Sidney Jones is. We want to hope what Sidney Jones is. We're going to assume that Sidney Jones is the real deal. This kid coming off an Achilles injury. Now, at Washington, the guy's a real deal, all right? Number 1 corner, all the makeup, top 10 pick. Okay? But we've seen top 10 picks just be guys before. So just because a guy, and we're expecting Sidney to be that guy, doesn't mean necessarily he's not. I'll tell you right now, week 1, he ain't starting over either one. He isn't. These guys earned it. You got to come in and be that much better than Darby and Mills to win one of the outside spots. You just have to be. These guys earned it. That's a slap in the goddamn face, this whole organization and the whole dog and the whole premise, if we're going to run our number 1 corner, our best corner all season long, and we're going to say all of a sudden, well, guess what, Jalen? You did a great job for us, pat you on the ass. Now we're going to slide you in the nickel. Hell no. If he's not quick enough on the outside, you think he's going to be quick enough on the inside? That's crazy talk. That's nonsense talk. Maybe one of these three corners ain't even the nickel guy. We don't know. I'm not saying he can't play nickel. We've never seen him do it. But we've seen him play the outside at a pretty high level this year. And I don't want to hear guys get beat. Every corner in this league gets beat.
Oh, yeah.
The league's made to score points, right? But it's when you're in tough situations, right? Julio Jones on the goal line, okay? He's been in tough spots all year. Julio carved his ass up a year ago. Not this time around. All right, and that's growth of him, too. Now, I get it that they don't line guys up. He doesn't change fields. That doesn't mean he's not a number one. I mean, Josh Norman didn't change fields for 3 years. Still doesn't in Washington, but when he was in Carolina, he's a legit one. Just because and that's another guy that pedigree wasn't big. I mean, Josh Norman's a worker to get to where he is, in my opinion. He's another guy who doesn't have all the tools, the speed, and all that stuff, but he makes up for being physical, his mental approach to the game, and that's just why Jalen's a one to me. And I'm not saying that, you know, he's a one on the top 5 best D-backs.
He's the number one.
Yeah, I think that was like misunderstood too. Like, I'm not saying he's like the number one corner in football. Right. I'm just saying that on 15 teams or half of these teams, 16, however you want to slice it, he'll be a number one corner on at least 16 of them in this league. And that's all I can define it by. That's all I can look at. I understand the city. I love Sid. I just thought it's an unknown, like any draft pick. We got to, you know, just because Jalen was drafted in the 7th, that's what I'll keep going back to. That doesn't mean he doesn't have the makeup to be a 1. Because, like we talked about, Darby being out and him being the only guy left, he was playing with Rasul Douglas on the other outside. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So guys were, attacking Rasul, obviously, more than Jalen. But he lived up to it, man. Every time he's going, Odell, he's lived up to it. I get it, like that Giants game, they got double moved a lot, and Amari Cooper beat him on a double move. Well, if you really know about that play, that's not even his fault. He's supposed to have help over top on that. That's why he bid it. So, I mean, like, to the naked eye, guys get beat, man. He's gotten beat. But I can only assume with his mental makeup, with his work ethic, that he's going to take a step from year 2 to 3. That's all I have on Jalen.
You want to go first?
No, this is all you.
You sure?
Yeah, because you're probably going to say a lot of the stuff I'm going to say.
Okay.
Just make sure you save me time to get my LeBron point.
Okay. All right. We'll do. So I definitely this isn't going to be like the Westbrook McCoy movie because I totally hear what you're coming from. And what I commented on one of the many comments that came through it was that I hate that this debate is kind of making it seem like I hate Jalen, which is the total opposite. If you ask these two on the group last season, for one, I liked him since we drafted him. I was like, ooh, Jalen Mills. He fell. So this is a good corner, and he started to play. I see that mental toughness, that physicality. I was like, this is an eagle. So I liked him, and I even told Paulie, and this is why I resort to Paulie sometimes when it comes to Jalen Mills, because right now he's proving me wrong. Because I said I was kind of in your position last season. I was saying I think Mills can be a really good number 2, as in like you need a lockdown corner on the other side, but he can play the other side and be really, really good. All right, so you're talking to someone who also is a Jalen Mills fan. I'm a believer in Jalen Mills. My argument was that if I'm looking at right now, I'm not even projecting. Okay, I'm just talking about right now how I would take the secondary as it is with Sidney Jones and Ronald Darby, and also considering the fact that Sidney Jones hasn't played and we don't definitely know what he's going to be. I want to deploy these guys to the best of their ability. So when I look at when I've seen Jalen Mills play the whole season, and I've gone back and I've watched all of the games. I've rewatched them. I'm telling you, I've rewatched them over and over and over. And I've broken down Darby and I've broken down Mills, both of them, and Patrick Robinson. What I saw was solid play. Okay, Jalen Mills was far from horrible. He gave up a bunch of plays. Yeah, I know all corners give up plays in today's league, especially with the way the rules are. The thing is, constantly, he wouldn't be able to stick with his man, whether in press or off coverage. He just wouldn't be able to. The double moves, we've seen it over and over.
But hold on, real quick. So that's going to translate to the slot? That's going to get worse.
Hold on, because I'm getting to that point. So what I saw from on the outside was a fighter, was someone who mentally he forgot the next play. He forgot the previous play.
We see a lot of the same
makeup.
there, yeah.
You seen the mental makeup of to be a corner. Just I don't care where you are at on
the
field.
A good closer. Yeah.
I don't care
so
where you're at.
Next one.
Any corner, if you have to have that mentality of I'm going to forget the previous play, and he has that. And I love that about him. I absolutely do. The thing is, I just don't think his coverage skills are up to par to be what you want a number one corner, what anybody wants a number one corner to be. If he's going to line up consistently against the best receiver of the other team, he's not going to be able to consistently stick with them. He is smart and he's physical. He will make plays. Okay, he will make plays. He has done it. All right, that Julio Jones play in the divisional game, the Falcons played that beautifully. You couldn't have played that better as an outside corner. Okay, so I'm not saying he's horrible. However, what I'm saying is because of
I would hope not.
From what I've seen,
I was just on Broad a couple weeks ago.
From what I've seen and my assessment of him and his struggles with coverage, just simple coverage, and considering Darby, from what I've seen, is who's been inconsistent, but also didn't have a full offseason, didn't have a full training camp with the team, who got on week 3 or 4 with the team, and then immediately got injured week 1, and then had to come back immediately in the middle of the season, play the other outside corner. I believe that he's on tape. He's shown, even though it's inconsistent, he's shown coverage skills that are better than Mills. You can debate it, and that's fine because you see what you see and I see what I see. But that's just me saying, okay, Darby can.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's not going to get beat or he can't hold up or his speed isn't built for the outside. I think everybody's misconstruing what I'm saying is not that. I'm saying that I'm going to take the guy twice on Sunday that's mentally tough, physical, and not fucking Marcus Peters. You understand what I'm saying? The opposite of Marcus fucking Peters. Jalen Mills is the opposite of the diva, the opposite of the prima donna corner. I'm getting fired up, not you, other people, because he does everything that I want a legit corner to do. But he does lack the speed, and all my argument was that scares me in the slot. That doesn't mean he can't hold up.
Hold on.
It just scares me in the slot.
Hold on. Now let me address that. So I want
address how 5 yards. You tell me how his speed's going to hold up in slot.
No, hold on. So I'm talking about
better wow me, Charles.
If I'm going to take the 3 cornerbacks we have, all right, and I will admit I'm projecting.
Wow me.
And I'm assuming and I'm projecting that Sidney Jones is going to be what we expect him to be. So I want him on the outside. Okay. I want Darby on the other side because with his style of play, he complements Jones. His gambling style of play, you have a lockdown corner in Jones, well, then the cornerback's going to go to the other side and be like, okay, let me see who's open on the other side. Darby's going to eat that all day. He's going to bait the quarterback.
Well, get me to why Jalen's going to hold up in the slot.
So I was going to say, tap me in, Charles.
Hold on. No. I'm getting to it. Our defense plays. Our defenses play primarily cover 1 and cover 3. In those schemes, our cornerbacks are on an island on the outside with only a deep safety over the top to help. So they are covering the boundary all over the field, up and down the field. Jalen Mills, he's aggressive. Okay, he is very aggressive, and we've documented his struggles with double moves and biting because he wants to be aggressive. On the outside, that gets exposed more than in this scheme on the inside in the slot. When you play cover 3, which is what we primarily do, you have a lot more support in the middle in the slot because of the hook zones and the curl zones that the safeties and the linebackers play. So he can be aggressive all he wants. Yeah, does he maybe lack foot speed? Sure. But the thing is, what he makes up with that is short tackling. And when he's in the slot, if he bites on the double moves and he gets beat, he has help from the linebacker. So his aggressiveness doesn't get exposed as much, and he can limit the yak from any slot receiver. If he's within arm's reach of any slot receiver in the league, he will tackle them. And what's the issue? What is the one deadly trait about a slot receiver? Is the yak. You get him an open field in the middle of the field, they will run to daylight. But Mills, I believe, he has that aggressiveness and that short tackling ability to kind of negate that. And plus, when he does get beat, he has that help because of the scheme to kind of cover up for him. Paul, you're in.
So there's 2 things. One, Tom, we can agree. There is a difference between speed and quickness. Jalen Mills does not have speed, but he is quick. He has good short. What is the word? What is the term? Short area quickness. That's what he has.
Shuttle cone guy.
And that's exactly no, seriously. That's what it is. So I think he has that ability where he can keep up with quicker slot receivers, and as Charles alluded to, He won't get caught up in the other linebackers because he's aggressive. He won't get caught up in all that traffic. He won't be on crossing routes, rub routes that are meant to just designed to get receivers open who can't get open.
Yeah.
So I think he can excel in the slot because of that. And the other thing I would just say is that I would bet I don't have much money, but if I had it, I would bet on Sidney Jones being a better corner than Jalen Mills. Because what I saw out of Sidney Jones in Washington, I know he had an Achilles injury, but he's 21 years old, or he might be 22 now, but he was 21 when it happened. He's going to recover from it. He'll be fine. If he is half the player he was at Washington, he's going to be a number one corner in this league. He's a freaking stud.
Offenses put prototypically, where do they put their quick guys in the slot? They put their speed guys on the outside. That's how it is. Offenses, they'll have.
Everybody
I know, but I'm talking that's why I said prototypically. You're talking about if you are a wide receiver, you get drafted, and you don't have the long speed. Kind of like, for example, the rookie Trent Taylor, who was drafted by San Francisco. He's a prototypical slot receiver in the mold of a Danny Amendola or Julian Edelman, they don't have blazing top end speed, but they are quick route runners.
This is what's getting misguided. It's getting misguided again. It's getting misguided. If somebody's getting moved in the goddamn slot on this football team, it is not Jalen Mills. Then Darby's going to be the guy. I'm not taking listen, it's a slap in the goddamn face, and nobody's better. No, because you don't. You guys don't realize that this is a professional. This is a professional level. This guy was an alternate Pro Bowl, and you're telling him that he started every game for you, right? And you're telling him now, coming in the next season, that guess what? You're not good enough to play on the outside for us. You were just that good last year, but now you're not good enough.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here, dude. I'll put Darby in the slot.
No, but
that's crazy. That's disrespect.
Here's what it is, though.
The guy lived up. The guy played number one corner all year. I don't understand. You guys, you can dive deep. You can tell me cover two. Listen, I don't got to go back and watch tape. When stuff lines up, I know what teams are running. Okay? I play football long enough. I watch football long enough. I don't need the tape argument because I've watched tape. I know football, and I know this guy's a mental makeup to be a legit one in this league. I don't care what Sidney Jones did. He might be a one. I know what Jalen Mills is right this second. Okay? And if you're going to tell me on who Sidney would play on the outside over, it would be the guy who played freaking 6 games. That's the guy he's going to win a job over. He ain't winning a job over a guy who's durable, who's physical, who makes plays on the outside. Why is he going to – that just makes zero sense on a professional level to do that. It makes zero. You guys can tell me. I played sports long enough. If somebody came into me and told me after a big year I had that I'm moving on the inside, you want to talk about cancer talk? You want to talk about dividing locker room talk? That's what's going to happen. I swear to you. You guys can talk about what X's and O's tell you, what the tape should tell you where guys should play, and I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you what happens in a locker room, what happens amongst men who earn this shit when you're going to tell him after a great season, guess what? We got a young kid. He's a stud, and he probably will be. I agree with Paulie on that, okay? But we're going to slide you in the slide. That's just not going to play.
Here's what it is. I was going to say, I think you're looking at it as,
I'm looking at it
in the NFL. How often do you play base defense? I think Donnell Ellerbe played 3 plays.
Guys, and that's a different argument. Hold on, then. If you guys want to come,
but my point is
no, because nobody said that. Nobody said that all three are going to be on the field in different spots. This direct argument was Jalen Mills is getting moved to the slot. If you want to give me that other side of it, I'm on board with that. We're all three on the field. All three are different looks. That's a different story. That's completely different than the guy just being strictly a slot guy. That was the argument. If it's about all three being on the field, we all agree that all three should be on the field.
Yeah.
I can pound you on that all freaking day. Now, I'm glad we're having this argument because it means we're deep, baby. You know what I mean? It means we're deep because we're both
deep
hunting.
as anything.
We're hunting for stuff to figure out, but you understand where I'm coming from. They all probably three will probably be on the field at the same time. Well, all I'm saying is that designated, like, hey, Jalen, you're a slot guy. I just don't see it happening. I just don't see them going to a kid who has such a great year in his second year and then going to mess with the confidence of a guy. No, the way you phrase it, the way you word it, something like Paulie did, right? Or you phrase it in a good way, like, hey, we're all going to be on the field. We're going to play different packages. Sometimes guys are going to be in the slot. Sometimes guys are going to be outside. Week to week, okay, we're playing against Atlanta. Julio loves being in the slot. They love moving him around. Okay, Jalen, maybe you're in the slot hypothetically or whatever. Okay, we got a speed guy, a big-time speed guy in the slot this week. They love to use him. Hey, maybe that's a position where you put Ronald in the slot more or Sidney in the slot to make sure he's manning up against their number one. I think more like what Paul always thinking I could really see, like matchups. Okay, Sidney matches up against Dez better. I'm just throwing names out, right? And Darby matches up against whoever their other receiver. You know what I mean? I could really see that. So I think we can disagree on this whole thing. That all three are going to be on the field. That all three are really good corners in this league, and it's exciting.
It's a great problem.
But I agree with you. If he's half of what he was at Washington, he's a pimp.
Yeah,
he's a pimp.
I think.
Here's another thing too, Patrick. So Ronald Darby.
I just let you guys battle it out.
Patrick Robinson was probably their best. Regardless of whatever you want to say, corner slot. Patrick Robinson was their best corner.
Agree.
And he was the slot.
That's what 880,000 does.
But no, but seriously, you know what I mean. But like that. But my point is, I guess that my main thing is I don't view it as a slight to Jalen Mills. And like I said when I commented on it, I don't take anything away from the kid.
Yeah.
He's a worker. He's a 7th round pick. He was a safety at LSU. He wasn't even a corner. So for him to get to where he's at, to be the fact that he was the starting outside cornerback on the Super Bowl winning team, says a lot about him. And you're right. He's a great character player. I guess my thing is, going from that he is such a great character player, I think his ultimate goal will be, well, what's best for the team? And I think ultimately what's best for the team is if he plays the slot and Sidney Jones and Ronald Darby play the outside. Because I think that suits all of their strengths. And I think that Jalen Mills will play enough because the Eagles just don't – their base package is essentially nickel.
And dime.
Yeah, they don't play base. They really don't.
He's still – I want him to be on the field. Let's not twist it. So I'm with you. I want him on the fucking field.
Yeah.
All right.
So you're thinking too is tackling in the slot will help the team out better.
Because
you're seeing stuff like that. I can buy into this stuff.
The 3 cornerbacks, I want those 3 on the field. I want the nickel to be the base package for our defense because essentially that is now the new base package in today's NFL.
See how we figured this out though, as like a family. Like we could have kept it out. We could have kept this going forever. We just figured something out for the people too. We helped them. That hey, there doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be as much. Like see, dude, we're arguing through text messages. It's the hardest thing in the world to do. It's impossible. It's impossible.
But you get what I'm saying? Like I love Mills. I'm telling you, I'm a fan of Mills. I just want to deploy the 3 in the best way possible, and that was my whole argument. I don't see where you were misconstruing my saying, oh, he needs to be a slot guy. That's not a demotion to me. That's me saying, okay, he has weaknesses that are getting exploited on the outside. Let's put him somewhere where they won't be and where he can excel. His strengths and his can really be magnified and be like, hey, I want him to be a star in the nickel.
Because nickel corners are so important in this league.
Yeah, he's going to get paid
that
too.
You don't have to worry. Like, part of my thought process, like, okay, you're going to tell a guy who's an outside guy, like we talked about, an all-in Pro Bowl, the whole 9, a great season, and you're going to say, go inside. But now, the first thing that's going to happen is agent talk and player talk. Okay, well, what's the number 1 corner outside guy getting paid to a big-time slot guy? And that's going to sort of be if there's an issue. I don't see it because I think he's a great kid.
I get it.
I do. I think he's a great kid. I think he's a team guy like you said. No question about it. He's going to do what's best. Your guys' arguments are right. I don't disagree with any of the arguments. Mm-hmm. Trust me when I say this. Like when you talk about cover skills as a whole, I'm not saying I disagree with any of that. Mm-hmm. My whole thing was just, man, I love the kid. I love his mental game, and it would be hard for me to demote him. But if there's a way you can do it, like we were talking about, where it's not a demotion, like, hey, all 3 are going to be on the field at the same time. Yeah, you might play slot more than you play outside, but that's going to help our team win. Field. And now we're going to go from a top 5 defense to the best in football because we have 3 corners who can shut you down. And like your guys' point, it's perfect. In the slot, he can be more physical. He can take more chances. Yeah. And it is suitable if it's a bump style in the slot. What I mean? If you're going to put him 5 yards off in the slot, I think he'll get burned all over. I think he'll get torched. And so it just depends on how you want to go about.
And it's so the slot cornerback has become so important because look at the slot wide receivers in today's game. And let's start with the top. Okay, let's start at home. Nelson Aguilar. Nelson Aguilar is a slot guy. Are you telling me that I wouldn't want someone like Jalen Mills facing Nelson Aguilar because I feel like Jalen Mills could be an issue for Nelson Aguilar. Okay, so let's move on. Not only the top slot wide receivers in the league, Doug Baldwin. Okay, he is an elite wide receiver. He plays the slot. Talk Golden Tate, the best run after the catch wide receiver in the league, plays the slot. So Larry Fitzgerald, the future Hall of Famer, plays the slot now. There are so many elite wide receivers in the slot. So when I say move Mills to the slot, that's not a slight. That's me saying now you are facing these guys.
That's
you are
fair.
still
It's fair.
facing top wide
It's fair.
receivers.
That's why we talk.
And
That's
it's-
why we
yeah.
gotta talk.
As far as like his agent, him coming to the bargaining table, I would say too, what his agent come back and say, well, he played 96% of the snaps. That's a starter.
Yep.
in the NFL.
Starter.
So Patrick Robinson is going to tell you too the market. Which
Exactly.
Right
Exactly.
at home.
Exactly.
When he tests and gets paid, because I'm going to think he's going to get about $5 million a year. Just because of the season he had, I mean, I don't think he's going to get crazy money because he's been such, he's never lived
Up and down.
But that's what I was talking about. Like, a guy like that, will stick around for 5, 6, 7 years because every team that's my point, from like a 7th round guy to a 1st round or 2nd round guy, like them guys are going to get all the chances because every team's going to think, oh, you weren't able to get out of him, I will.
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean, and that's just the nature of the beast.
You know what I love about Mills long term too is what he said. He has experience playing the safety. When it gets longer down in the career, he can make a transition to safety. Say
that's
what
a
happens,
great point too.
Say what happens. Say I'm just hypothetically speaking. Okay, just
safety at LSU.
Just hypotheticals. If we are unable to find a new safety and Rodney McLeod goes, are you telling me Mills can't fill in at safety either? I believe he can because he's that physical,
Yeah, he is
and
physical.
he has enough coverage skills on the back end for run support and for deep coverage and everything. I love Mills's versatility in that we can move him to safety if we need.
Yeah, and when he got drafted, there wasn't a need to put him at safety. There was more the need to put him at
A
corner.
corner.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it was more of like he got put there over need than that was the best position for him. And we talked about the mental side made him a better player than he was.
And in general, putting him at slot too, it also just gives you more looks because like that safety background, you could do more stuff coverage wise. You could disguise the look and make it look like Jalen's lined up in the slot, and you have Malcolm and Rodney as your safeties,
or vice versa,
and then switch the look. And so it's
look at us. Look at us, boys. I'm gonna let you go because that was a fun talk. I just want to, I just love him. So I just, it was almost like
I love him too.
I was
We all
defensive
love him,
about
yeah.
him because I'll go back and watch the gauntlet run, and then it's be like, oh yeah, like that's the biggest worker I ever seen. I had forgot that he played safety at LSU. That's going to be huge moving forward too.
Yeah,
because we're going to lose. Malcolm's getting a little older in the tooth, and what's Rodney? 2 more years? He's got this and that.
I think 3 more years, but a lot of money.
A lot of money owed.
I can see
a lot of money.
A lot of money owed. Boys, it's been real.
Tom.
Thanks, brother.
Love
I'll take
you,
LeBron.
Tommy.
Love you, boys. Charles, I love you more.
See, guys, that's what I do with my family arguments. I just sit back and let everybody argue it out, and they tend to work themselves out. That's family talk right there.
Fred. I love it. Oh, man. So, LeBron James.
I don't even know if I have.
So
have it in me
resume.
now.
Resume.
Oh, okay. So I don't remember where the hell I left off now. But no,
man.
I mean, just
Why
listen.
would anyone not want LeBron James? Go.
So listen, having that conversation again, I think in LeBron, you guys made a lot of valid points earlier as far as LeBron, and yes, he did leave a bad taste with that whole decision thing. But that was 8 years ago. It's time to get over it at this point. What was it, 8, 9 years ago at this point?
Yeah.
Talking the better part of a decade. I think LeBron's grown a lot, especially since he's gone back. I do believe, too, like, the hate for LeBron, and I don't even know if can you hear me?
Yeah,
You're
I can hear
a
you.
little bit. It's a little low, but I can hear you.
Ryan.
But the thing with LeBron, right? Let's look at the eras. Everybody still loves Jordan. But Jordan also had the benefit of wasn't around during the social media era.
He was.
Yeah.
Like
And he was a jerk.
like Michael Jordan.
Oh, he was an
for all
absolute
intents and
jerk.
purposes, if you had the social media era, the Twitter era, and all that, I could guarantee you the hate on Michael Jordan
Would be phenomenal.
immense. You were gonna make is that from the game or is
Yeah,
that
sorry. I was
from
in the game. I'm sorry.
I thought you were gonna make a point.
I
too.
apologize, dude. I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh, we're only up 3.
Oh, we just fouled.
No!
Okay.
Wait, what
Oh
happened?
my gosh,
What
okay.
happened?
So
The Sixers are up 3 with 27 seconds left.
Well, we
Dario
just-
just fouled Dwayne Wade from 3.
I'll be over here.
Every time, Ryan, you ask what happens, it doesn't ever go well.
I just shouldn't ask the question anymore.
But I mean, I'm sitting, and my whole thing is, and you kind of touched on it, and that was something we were going through in the chat. I look at LeBron, and I see a guy who, at this stage in his career, has the opportunity to do what Michael Jordan could never bring himself to do, which is to go somewhere with a young team, continue to win, and also bring the next generation on. Pass the torch to the next great physical specimen is the best way I could put Ben Simmons.
Yes.
Because he's a freak of nature for his size and his ability.
yeah.
To bring him along, work on his shot with him over and over. Because your shot can improve. Continue to work on his vision with the court as there's a similar style that I feel like he's going to build to be the next LeBron.
They're freight trains.
Yeah.
I don't see LeBron as a guy who looks at this city or looks at the next team he's going to go to and he's going to take her. I think LeBron has looked at this team, and from what he said, he knows that this is Ben Simmons' team and Joel Embiid's team. But I also see a guy who, when they played Oklahoma City, was tweeting and talking about how great the direction of basketball is going. And I know that LeBron's sitting home on the couch saying, I could be the guy to get this team over the hump. And you see the love affair that he has for the city of Philadelphia. He's a freaking Cowboys fan, but he's sitting there. Favorite player is Carson Wentz.
Yeah, I love it.
And I think that at some point somebody said he was wearing something Eagles Super Bowl champion related as well, correct?
Really?
I believe. Oh, I know. I think
hear
the report
this.
was that he was wearing something like a Wentz jersey or something along those lines.
Okay, I
because
can
that's
buy
when
that,
it came out that he was a big Wentz
Well,
fan.
listen,
Someone asked him about
you can love the guy, but you don't put the jersey on. Okay,
Yeah,
let's be realistic.
That's something.
There's a couple comments by Sixers JT,
Okay.
and they're interesting because
I
they're
was reading,
completely different than I think the consensus here and in the city. And Sixers JT, as we all know, I think he has a good head on his shoulders.
Yeah.
So he does bring a lot of good points, but here I just think he completely disagrees with, I think, a big portion of the fan base and obviously us. He said the following. He says, I feel like I'm the only one who feels this way, but I do not want LeBron, period. I know he's one of the greatest, but giving a max deal to a 34-year-old crybaby is not the direction this team should go in. He also says, I don't want to give LeBron a max deal just to lose the Warriors in the finals, because in 3 to 4 years, the Sixers team will be able to compete on our own without him. I'll return to that, and there's two more things, because he went off.
Go ahead, go ahead.
But that one, there's a lot in that comment. He also goes on to say, the Sixers are winning close games on their own, and if Foles comes back the way he should, and we get the Lakers pick next season, we will have a great young team to compete for years. We don't need this man to come in and ruin the chemistry and foundation behind the whole entire process Hinkie envisioned. So they just had to get that off of his chest.
Okay, well, let's not lose sight of what the process is, okay? The process was built to build a core nucleus so when the time
God damn it.
When the time comes to attract
Don't even I'm not going to ask.
When the time comes and these players are ready and free agents to have the ability to have a stable environment and a successful environment to sign max players, to sign a LeBron James or a Kevin Durant. The process wasn't just let's keep drafting until we have a team. The process was to build a strong core, to develop our own homegrown talents, but to be able to add the finishing piece
to attract
to compete.
High-quality talent, yes.
So I don't care what the Lakers pick is. I don't care what that is. I hope Fultz is great. But at this point, I'm seeing a team that if, God forbid, it doesn't work out with Fultz, they are still built to be able to bring in a talent to continue to win. And, oh, by the way, when LeBron goes places, guys like J.J. Redick and all these good players sign for less money and sign for veteran minimum contracts when they can go and get $5 million elsewhere because they want to play with LeBron in an environment where they can win a ring. So I could see a J.J. Redick. I mean, we talked about, if LeBron comes, J.J. Redick's gone. Maybe J.J. says, I'll take a small deal.
He
made a ton of money this year.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't he come back and say, I'll sign a 1 or 2 year deal to play with LeBron and help this team that I've already been a part of the culture to win?
Yeah.
So that is what the process is about. It's not to continue to draft guys until
agreed.
we finally get a chemistry. That could take you 15 years to do that.
No.
And then, by the way,
that's just a ridiculous way to build a team in general. Like, I get the purpose of the process and tanking and all that was because you can't just get good players like J.J. Redick for 3. He missed.
It's an L for the Sixers. He had a good shot at the end of the game.
Yeah, that's
on,
way
JJ.
too good of a look for J.J. to miss there to
You
win the
gotta
game.
hit
That's
that,
okay.
JJ.
No, but you can't. So I get the process was they were tanking because they wanted to accumulate picks, but like you said, Chrome, they got 2 generational type players, right now.
So it's done.
Two.
Well, not
two through the draft. That's incredible.
That's
to
incredible.
Get two through, that doesn't happen. It happened in Golden State, and it happened in Oklahoma City. Where the hell else has that happened recently? Anyone?
It hasn't.
Yeah.
Recently? Like, it just hasn't happened.
And by the way, when the time came, I mean, they were already pretty much winning. But then what did Golden State go out and do? They signed Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant.
Exactly. After they had already won a championship and then lost one.
In this league, you need to, the way it is now, you need to stockpile superstars.
Yes.
If you were to tell me that there was LeBron coming here would mean eventually Ben or Embiid would have to go, then no, I wouldn't. But that's not the case. Just because LeBron's coming here doesn't mean you mess up your core. So
this is like the conversation with baseball, with the minor leagues, where, our farm system is great. Why would we trade guys in our farm system to go at the trade deadline to get a guy?
Prospects until they play.
Listen, there's only so many of these guys that are going to be hit. How many first-round draft picks did we have to finally get to a Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid?
Yeah,
it was a long process.
Jahlil Okafor.
Nerlens Noel.
MCW.
These are guys who were decent players on a crap team, and then they went elsewhere and didn't really do much in the league.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
They've
Ryan.
done nothing.
I'll say this one thing because I'm going to save a lot of it for tomorrow.
Yeah, I know you have this tomorrow too.
So, the one argument that I hear around the city, I've been hearing a lot, is it's actually two. It's number one, LeBron is going to be a cancer. He's going to ruin the chemistry. Oh my God. Number one.
Every team he's on goes to the finals, by the way.
Exactly. I understand he's outspoken. I understand he may want to make his team his own, especially when the GMs that are on that team can't do their job correctly.
Right.
Because if we want to really dive deep into that argument, let's go through every GM that LeBron either directly did or led to their firing. Do you honestly think if the GMs that got booted or the players that got booted were doing their job correctly, do you really think he would have shipped them off? Second of all, the whole narrative going around the city that, oh my God, I'm so happy with all these young stars. We've established them for the last handful of years. What? Guys, we're underdogs now. We can't go out and get LeBron James. He's not an underdog. You're right.
God.
He's the best player in the effing world.
Yes.
And if you do not want the opportunity or the chance to get the best player, let alone a guaranteed top 3 player of all time on your roster for a year, 2 years, and if you're worried about contracts, I understand what Sixers JT is saying on that.
Right.
Because you don't want to throw unnecessary amount of money to him and just beg for it.
He'll structure it. LeBron will structure it in a way. Sorry.
If you have the opportunity to get the best player on your team, who in turn will take you from a young, exciting team to a legit contender in which, you want to say it's so fun watching the Sixers? How about you get to watch them for an additional 2 months? Because they're going to be able to. Because they'll last longer.
Yep.
Instead of going into the playoffs and getting swept by a team that has LeBron.
I agree.
Where did we get to a point in Philadelphia where we could be picky about our freaking championships?
Yes.
Get a championship. I don't care how you get it. I don't care what you have to do.
Go get one.
Get the best player in the world and go try to win a championship.
You know what?
Why? How does that make any sense? Hey, you have the opportunity to make your team better than any team in the Eastern Conference. But no, I'd rather not do that because of some kind of weird, I don't even know, weird feeling of, it's we're being picky because we don't want to win that way. What the hell does that even mean?
You know what I think it is?
Well,
I honestly believe I honestly believe that people don't – they're looking for reasons to not want him here because they have a personal hatred to him because of stuff maybe they did before or stuff that media has conjured up about LeBron. Whenever I talk to someone who doesn't really watch sports all that much, but they're like, oh, I hate LeBron, it's because of what they hear from the media and what the media wants to put out about LeBron, about him whining and everything. Every little thing this guy does gets put under a microscope, and then it all gets put to gets made out to be some kind of worst thing in the world. He is like the bane of humanity. Guys, you talked about it before. Michael Jordan, if he was playing in the day and age of social media,
he was a J.O.
Oh my God! Can you believe the stuff that would be out about Michael Jordan and his teammates? A good handful of teammates didn't like him.
Michael Jordan, the adulterer,
they hated playing.
who
Michael
had a gambling
Jordan.
problem.
Yeah,
and who literally punched teammates in the face.
Yes,
that was a thing.
So you're talking about MJ is the greatest player ever. LeBron is never going to be that, in my opinion, as well. So I'm not saying that. That's not my argument.
I still think there's
what I'm saying.
That's me.
That's the thing.
The fact that they're receiving.
But you said three players: LeBron, Kobe, and Jordan are the three best ever.
I don't think so.
I
think Kobe's
everybody else.
Wilt Chamberlain is where I was thinking.
Wilt Chamberlain is 3. But my point is, it's because of this ill-conceived reputation that LeBron has, and people want to make it seem like they have a good excuse to hate him. Like, oh, he's a crybaby. He whines about fouls. He walks and he travels. Really, that's what you're going to complain about, to hate
That's
the guy?
Entire NBA.
Okay, you're going to talk about the decision. The decision was horrible. Yeah, that wasn't the best idea in the world, and he looked bad. But it's not like he kept the money. He donated the money to charity, for God's sakes. So it's not like he benefited from all that money that came in. Guys, this is what when we start off the topic, I led off by saying I will never understand the LeBron hate. And it's from that perspective. I will never understand the vitriol and the absolute, utter hatred from people's heart that they have for LeBron when he's never been arrested. He's never committed a crime. He's never been blasted by a teammate for being an asshole. He's a great teammate. He's a great face for the NBA, great face for the league. He's a great generational talent. What is there to hate? I will never understand that. Guys, what is there to hate?
He's been in the limelight since he was 17 years old. He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated as a 17-year-old.
You cannot.
And he's never whiffed controversy.
I want to let Ryan jump in here, guys.
Well, the one thing I'll say on that, and I agree with everything you guys have said, on the whole narrative on, oh, my God, I hate LeBron James. Listen,
it's the cool thing to do.
Well,
it's the cool thing to do.
And to a lesser degree, I'll give you a few other examples, and you tell me if you agree with this, okay? Because I hear it all the time. I'll start with a guy that's actually on the Sixers. I have been told by numerous people that are not fans of the Sixers, oh, my God, how can you stand Joel Embiid? I can't stand him. He's annoying. He's a great player, but he's annoying. And as well, you know what I tell him? Or anyone that says that? You'd love him if he was on your team.
Absolutely.
Number two, Sidney Crosby. Okay? We hate him in Philly, and I'll probably get some hate for even saying this.
I'd still hate him, but I'd love to have him.
We'd love to have him, right? We'd be able to deal with the antics if we had Sidney Crosby.
Yeah.
Why? Because he's one of the best in the world. Oh, my God. Wait. Bill Belichick. I hate Bill Belichick. He cheats. Oh, my God. Have you seen the way he talks to the media members? Yeah, well, if we were in New England, I think we would throw that to the side because, I don't know, he's won a handful of championships. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. Another one in the NBA. For me, I say this all the time. I cannot stand Russell Westbrook. You know why? Because he's frustrating to watch. But guess what? If he was on the 76ers, I'd love him.
I have to disagree with him, actually, for me.
I would love him.
Well, to me, but you know why? You know why I say that?
I don't think he's a winning player.
Your point's taken, though.
I get your point. I absolutely get your point. I just don't think he's a winning player.
Well, that's fine.
I agree with that.
That's understandable. So my whole point is we can easily say with other members of other teams, I hate Belichick. I hate Brady. I hate this guy. I hate this guy. We don't know how we would feel about them if they were here. To where, let's say, for example, LeBron comes here for 3 years, and we go 2 for 3, we win 2 championships. I can pretty much confidently say that after those 3 years, a lot of people in Philly that was saying, oh, I hate LeBron, is now saying, oh, boy, I love LeBron. Because he brought something that we haven't had in, 35 years? Because the Sixers are the next up that hasn't had a championship, correct? Am I wrong?
So
it's close.
It's been a long
Sixers,
time.
JT.
Flyers.
And then Sixers, right?
Yeah.
Sixers?
Yeah.
So Sixers, JT says, okay, can you guys stand Cam Newton? He's never committed a crime. For one, Cam Newton's not the best player in the world.
Best player in the world.
And two,
yeah,
I wouldn't take him over Carson Wentz. So.
What I'm saying,
Cam Newton also is like, he had that really, where he said that really sexist remark. He's just not. It's a big difference because. Yeah. And here's the thing. So to defend Cam Newton, though, he is really good in his community. He does a lot of really good things. He works with children. Yes. He does a lot of really great things.
Oh, it does. He definitely does.
If I was a Carolina fan, I would have no problem having Cam Newton. I don't want him here because I have a better option than him. There's no better option than LeBron James.
Correct.
This is the difference, okay? When I say I don't like Cam Newton, it's as a quarterback. I don't believe him as a quarterback, and there are issues about his character that I have. I don't have the same kind of hate like from in here that I'm not even exaggerating, guys. I've talked to people that absolutely hate LeBron and think he is like the worst human being in the world.
Everybody.
But that's what I'm saying. Like there is a different level of dislike when we're talking. I don't like. If I was a Carolina Panther fan, I still can't say I would like Cam Newton because of some of his stuff. But I don't hate the guy. I don't wish if I were to pick between having Cam Newton as my quarterback and Blake Bortles. By any chance, I would have Blake Bortles. Like it's not. I'm not trying to be disobjective or unobjective by saying I wouldn't take Cam Newton at all. But I would take Cam Newton as my quarterback, and I don't like certain things about him, and that's fine. You can dislike certain things about LeBron, but to say that you hate him is absolutely I don't understand why you would.
But let me broaden the conversation. Everybody hates the Yankees. But when the Phillies got over the hump and built a core, what did they do? They started spending money on free agents and going out and trying to get the top talent. And they stopped building the core, which in turn, everybody loved it. Hey, we're going to the World Series. And yada. What did it do? It set the team back because they had no farm system. So at that point now, that short window they had nothing to build off of after that. But everybody bitched about the Yankees for years and years and years. And then your team started going out and spending just like the Yankees did. And they started going out and going after. They were in on all the big-name free agents. And not just the Phillies. Other teams do this. But that was the whole big thing. And it's like, well, my argument back then was you hate the Yankees so much, you just got done doing the same fucking thing. You went out and you had to have Halladay and had to have Cliff Lee and you had to have this guy and you had to have Papelbon and you had to go out and get every big-name free agent that was out there, no matter what, that they were on a downslide in their career because they were the big name and tried to build a superstar team. Then and you loved it when you were doing it. You loved it when it was here, but you hate it when it's not you. It's a respect thing. As much as people hate the Yankees, and guess what? People don't realize the Yankees have always had a pretty damn good farm system, by the way, with the exception of a small, the exception of a small window during those championship years. They had a little bit of a setback, but look at their team over the last few years, and guess what? They still had enough to go out and get a Giancarlo Stanton. Oh, by the way, they built that championship, that run behind Posada homegrown, Jeter homegrown, Pettit homegrown. Who's the other one I'm forgetting the core for? But you had a Bernie Williams out there, Mariano Rivera, Bernie Williams, all these guys that came out. But what they did was they spent the money to keep their own guys. But people bitched about it. Listen, when it's not you, you hate it. When you don't have the player, you hate him. It's a respect thing, right? But ultimately, you hate on the guy because you respect what he does. When he's on your team, you absolutely love him. When your team's winning and you're modeling after whatever anybody's doing, oh, by the way, they're winning. And let's not shortcut the fact that guys like LeBron can look. We talk about building like a stud stable, right? 3-4 guys on a team. You got 2 guys in place that you were fortunate enough to homegrow. Fultz could be a 4th. LeBron could be that missing piece to develop these young guys. And oh, by the way, do what Jordan never could, which was pass the torch to the next generation on the way out the door. Jordan's ego never allowed him to do that. And that is what, to me, separates LeBron. I look at LeBron, and I hear him talk about the young players in the league and the direction that the league is going in. I never heard Jordan talk about that.
You know what's
ever?
You know what's crazy? So I mean, I know that I'm the only one that loves to read things here, but Bill Simmons actually wrote a really good thing for The Ringer, and it was basically outlining MJ's legacy versus LeBron's legacy and how MJ he wanted LeBron to finish the legacy the way MJ couldn't. So when they won that last championship against the Jazz, that following season, he had nowhere to go. Everybody was cap-strapped, and the only teams that had money were really terrible teams. So it was either – and Chicago didn't want him back because Krause was an asshole, and Krause didn't want him back. So that's why he retired, because he's like, he was just like, I don't really have – what am I going to do? Like, I'm not going to go to the Knicks and start over and try to play with, like, Latrell Sprewell and do that. Like, no. Like, he did – so he thought, like, all right, cool. Like, I guess I've reached the peak again, so I'm gonna stop. I'm going to retire. And then he just had that itch again, and that's why he came back with the Wizards, even though that was obviously completely ill-advised.
So 2 things. The last thing I'll say on the Sixers thing is with LeBron, and it's just take it as a trivia question. You don't even have to answer it. Just think about it, okay? When LeBron goes to a team, what happens immediately after that?
They go to the finals.
Not even that. Not even results. Before
Better.
they even play. No. Yes.
People come. Players,
No, yes.
Players come to the team.
People follow.
People follow.
Yep.
You know what situation and what team has the situation to not only get LeBron, but some more players?
The Sixers.
Yeah, that's not
Maybe a better backup big man to protect the rim than Amir Johnson.
And do you want to know why? Because that's what the process was really, truly built to do.
And secondly, sweeps.
Oh,
Sweeps!
A second sweep segment. I love
Yes,
it.
well, he's fired up at the moment. So if you didn't already know, the 76ers, well, we talk about the positives, they lost tonight.
Yeah, tough
Lost
loss.
another lead.
So he said uneffing real. And by the way, he requested at the end for me to read this off because I thought he was just venting in the comments.
Yeah.
So then he said, the Heat foul Ben on purpose.
Yep.
23 seconds left in a tie game. He splits the pair. Then D-Wade drills a shot for the lead with 6 seconds left. And JJ misses a wide open shot to win it.
Yeah.
Some expletives in there. He said, absolute killer. It's a killer.
It
Yeah,
was
it
a
was a
killer.
tough
It
loss,
was
Sweeps.
tough to watch.
Yeah.
You know who could help teach them how to close out a game?
LeBron James.
LeBron James.
So here's my thing, too. If you're against LeBron James coming here, and then he does, in fact, come here, and then this team does, in fact, win a championship, your ass better not show up to Broad Street.
Yep.
Because that's ridiculous.
Yep. I'm keeping
That is
tabs on
rid-
everybody who
Because
talks all
that's
that
ridiculous. And, like, you better not get caught up in it because you know what? You don't deserve to get caught up in it because for you to want to deny your team the chance to have the best player in the world, you don't deserve that joy.
And the one thing, because JT is still commenting. Well, first off, JT knows this. We're getting loud with him because it's family talk.
Yeah,
and he's
JT's
doing
our
this
boy.
loud enough.
JT's our boy.
No,
And he's getting loud with us, I'm sure, through the text.
And
that's
JT, in fairness, my hostility is not necessarily geared towards you. This
No.
has been all week because I've been
Yeah.
reading stupid shit.
It's been for years, honestly.
There have been stupid comments
Yeah.
made.
Yeah.
On
And dude,
this
the
topic.
decision. I'm sorry. Let's do that. The decision was in 2010. That's 8 years ago. Build a freaking bridge and get over it.
Yep.
My God.
I guarantee you, by the way, if he went to the Sixers after the decision, we'd love it.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Why do you honestly? Let's think about
Absolutely.
it this way,
Yeah.
and then I'll get to JT's comment. Why do you think it was so hated all over? Why do you think it was hated? Because he didn't go to your team.
Miami loved it.
Why do you think New York hated it? Why do you think Cleveland hated it?
Thank you. I was watching the decision with my friend who was a Knicks fan.
I watched
and
it
he
yesterday.
was praying he was going to the Knicks. The minute he announced
Why
that
the hell would he
he's
go
like,
to the Knicks?
I hate LeBron. F this. I'm like, you're just mad because you didn't go to
It
your
was
damn
one
team.
of the best. The decision was one of the best things to ever happen to freaking South Beach. And there's a lot of great stuff down there.
That's
Sure.
true.
But honestly,
Like what? I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm a joke.
it's a different show. But he says, okay, guys, want LeBron so we can win a championship when this team hasn't even touched playoff basketball in years.
Well, that'll happen
They're
this
going to
year.
touch it
That'll
this year.
happen when- yeah.
That'll be this year.
He says once this team actually reaches the playoffs on their own, they can. Then we can sign free agents just like the Yankees. Well,
That'll
Well,
happen this year. So we're
JT.
talking next year when LeBron's a free agent.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're.
He's saying,
I was going to
he's
say.
saying, he's
they're
saying we
gonna-
can do it without LeBron is what he's saying.
he says
So,
Sixers
so
haven't-
you want to sign a free agent, but you want to sign a different free agent, which makes no sense. Because why would you not just sign the best player in the world?
Listen, and let's. The NBA is a different monster. Okay.
Yeah.
You make the fifth seed or lower,
You're not.
you're even the fourth seed. you're not winning a title.
Well,
let's be honest. We're not talking about hockey or baseball
or
football where a hot team can come in and win. It doesn't happen in the NBA.
That is why.
You know what puts you into the elite? Signing a Kevin Durant, signing a LeBron James to an already built, strong, young nucleus, or a set of established superstar cornerstones, which, by the way, we have 2 young, established cornerstones.
Correct.
LeBron is the guy that takes you to the 1 through 3 seed to compete for a championship. And, oh, by the way, they have the benefit of all they have to do is get to the finals. They don't have to go through a Golden State to get to the finals. It's an easier path for us to get there. Then when you get there, all bets are off on the table, and then you take your shot. It makes no sense. The NBA is a different monster than any of these other sports.
Yes.
The hot team doesn't get to the finals. The same teams over and over get to the finals.
So MCAM says, and MCAM's another one that comments a lot, but I completely disagree with him. He says Philly can build a better team without LeBron. Maybe if LeBron's 50 at the time, like
what?
You can build a better team without the best player in the world. I don't know. I think my mind's in a freaking pretzel at the moment.
No.
This is what I'm going to say. This is what I'm going to say.
Yeah. There's a bunch of them.
I believe that Ben Simmons has the potential to be a top 5 player in the entire league.
He will be.
Yeah.
Maybe number 1.
Yeah.
Sure.
The potential is there.
And Embiid, too. They both have potential to be
Embiid, I think Embiid will be the number 1 center in the league in the next couple of years. As long
Might
as he
already-
stays
I
healthy.
think he might already
He's
be.
already on there,
With
right.
Boogie Cousins hurt, I think he actually is.
Yeah. But you add a LeBron James, the greatest player in the game, to these young guys. Oh, by the way, we need to help guys like Ben to develop a jump shot. Oh, by the way, he has a similar build and style to LeBron James.
Yeah.
This is the perfect guy to nurture him and get him. And by the way, they're already close friends. They share an agent. They're good friends. So do you not think that he's going to make it his mission to make sure that when he leaves here, whether it's by free agency or retirement, that he's going to make sure that Ben Simmons and this organization is in a better place moving forward? You're out of your damn mind.
Yeah.
You're out of your damn mind.
Do you want to read it or want me to read it?
It's the question, right?
Well, first of all, the first one I want to read off, Sixers JT says, no, because he's an arrogant fool who promised 8 rings for the Heat and won 2 and lost. So you don't want him because he's
You
arrogant.
don't want none of that. You don't want 2 rings?
arrogant?
I'll take 2 rings.
Yeah,
2 rings sounds great. Sign me up.
You can promise.
Take one.
You can promise me 15 rings. If you give me 2, I will be perfectly happy.
Over the moon.
And second,
Come
he asked, okay, let me ask you something. Will this team with LeBron beat the Warriors? Will beat the Rockets? I could say yes. I would say yes.
Not this year.
Not even next. I would say not even next year with.
No, but 2
obviously.
years
No, like
from now,
down
yes.
the line they can.
Yeah, down the line.
Oh, yeah,
absolutely.
They absolutely can. So why wouldn't you?
Down
Guys,
the line, why not? Well, here's the thing. So
we're
with the
also-
Warriors,
listen.
the big thing with the Warriors. So if you're here, so if the Warriors have to play the Sixers, right? With the idea that LeBron James is on the roster, and like you alluded to, Ryan, some other good veteran pieces will follow for cheap prices. Who the hell on Golden State is going to go near Embiid?
Nobody.
No one.
No,
Jordan Bell?
what
You're going to have
big
Jordan
man?
Bell covering Embiid?
What
Come on,
big man-
Zaza
yeah.
Pachulia?
Can we
get out of here?
Can we
Draymond
not
Green?
forget? Can we not forget? Then this is where the hate for LeBron just gets out of control and ridiculous. They'll hate anything.
Exactly.
People talked about, LeBron is he's not clutch, whatever. He only wants to score the ball. He took money, went to Miami, and said he wanted to be more of a Magic Johnson type of player, a guy who is not a scorer but a playmaker. Whether that means scoring, whether that means passing the ball and creating opportunities for the other guys on the team, which he does in spades. That's what he wanted. And then the argument immediately turned into LeBron's scared and doesn't want to be the guy on the team.
The narrative changes. It's funny how that works.
And then,
the time.
so then he goes back
the
to
time.
Cleveland, and it's the same thing. Now LeBron wants to be selfish and wants it just to be his way, and he wants to have the ball in his hands all the time. People want to hate on anything because his name is LeBron James. And listen, I hated on LeBron for a while. I didn't hate on him, but I disliked the guy after the decision, all that crap. The moment he went back to Cleveland, and I actually, when he took less money to go to Miami, I said, as much as I hate this, I have no issue with that decision. I hated the fact that people hated on the guy. Why wouldn't he want to be a playmaker?
I got to be honest.
But why? But I'm saying, if that's how he sees himself, and that's what he said. I see myself more as a Magic Johnson, not a Michael Jordan. Who are we to hate on that? Oh, by the way, Magic Johnson's probably the greatest point guard in history, arguably. And also was another guy who was a freak of nature for his size at the position that he was playing. Why would you hate on a guy for wanting to be that type of a player?
That's another reason why misconstrued people hate on LeBron is because they say, because he wants to compare himself to MJ. Oh, I'm sorry. That's a media-driven narrative there was
an SI article, I think it was before last season, where he literally flat out said he was chasing Jordan.
Okay,
so I mean,
but that's okay.
No,
that's fine.
No, and I'm just saying I don't disagree with that premise, but I'm just saying he definitely is cognizant of Michael Jordan.
From that, people want to go. They want to break it down like every little detail, and when they compare MJ to LeBron, you got to stop and realize that they're totally different types of players. Okay, the most similar player to MJ it was Kobe. In terms of style and just anything. That is the closest to Jordan we're ever going to get. I'm not talking about greatness because to me, Kobe is a top 10 player, not a top 3. Okay? That's a different argument. Okay, that's a different argument. But if you want to talk about styles. But LeBron is just a totally different breed. At the beginning of his career, yeah, he was more like Magic. But he's evolved into something even more than that. There is no comparison to LeBron. In terms of styles, there is none. Okay, in terms of someone who's an athletic freak, okay, who has the point guard vision and skills as he does, who has developed a jump shot, a reliable jump shot from anywhere on the floor, who can play 1 to 5, who has post moves like he does. There's no one in history.
Legit play every position.
He can play every position. There is no player in
guard
history
1 through 5
like him. Okay, no player in history like him. Am I saying
he guarded Embiid in the All-Star game?
Yeah. Am I saying he's as great as Jordan? No. All right. He is not as great as Jordan. Jordan is the greatest. But to say that to knock the guy just because he's not as great and to always sell him short because he's not as great, it's totally like I don't get it. Like I really don't get it.
That's
guys.
Always the argument. Well, he's not Jordan. He doesn't have to be Jordan.
He doesn't have to be
LeBron.
Jordan.
He's LeBron.
Can I cover one thing? Because MCam, I don't want to say he's getting cute in the comments, but I just want to cover one thing.
Yeah.
Because he's getting fired up, so I'll get fired up a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit back. And I understand I'm not on camera, so I'm screaming at nothing at the moment. I'm over here. So I'm just going to read you what MCam had to say.
Oh, please read what Section JT said because just please go.
So we're going to be wrapping up soon.
Yeah,
so.
I was going to say, let me know as well how long you want to go.
Yeah,
at this
couple
pace,
more
we're going
minutes.
5 hours.
No, these guys are enjoying the conversation.
Oh, I know. There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely.
Go ahead.
He says, I'm saying, so his original comment, like I read, and please, MCam, tell me if I misconstrued your statement, because you freaking said this to me. I didn't say it to you. You said the following. You said, let me find it. Let's see.
It's there.
And I quote, Philly can build a better team without LeBron. Pretty blanket statement there, wouldn't you say? So I don't know if he's backtracking or if he's defending. I don't know what the hell he's doing. He's saying, and I quote, I'm saying you can get other players instead of LeBron, and you would be better off, you idiots. And I will say to you, MCam, when you put through an effing chat a blanket statement that, oh, hey, guys, I think that you can be a better team without a guy who's the best player in the world. Listen, MCam, I appreciate you. I really do. But can you please tell me how we're not going to have some questions to you? How we're not going to question some sanity on your end?
Sixers JT.
You could get better.
This is what I'll say. Aside from the fact that he called us idiots, which obviously his first statement came off very idiotic, and I normally don't say that, but that was rude.
Listen,
so I'll
just
be rude back. That's
we
fine.
just read what we see.
But
you know what I mean?
To his point, I will say this: there could be, and I don't know. We'll have to see how cap and all that stuff works out. If there's a combination of two players that you could bring in, then that would complement the team to get them to the next level, although I don't know who that would be, especially this offseason or the next.
George and somebody.
Then maybe you go that route. And I'm not going to say that I would take that out. But if you get – in the grand scheme of things, your best option right now, logical option, especially looking at what's going to be available compared to what you could spend, LeBron James is the best buy.
And LeBron James has taken less money. For every year he's taking less money. He could hold teams ransom if he wanted to.
This is what I'll do. This last thing I'll say. For MCam and JT. Well, first off, JT said, Ryan, don't expose MCam like that. Listen, man, I had to. This is why I don't get involved in LeBron talk. This is why I stay away. This is why
I love it.
Don't let me get started. I
love it.
Ryan did not want to get into
it's
LeBron
the king.
talk.
So I have a homework assignment for JT and MCam. Tomorrow, bring to the chat, both on the Fix and on AM the PM.
Yeah.
Break down what you guys would do
in the offseason.
What's your plan? If MCam, you think you can build a better team, a deeper team without LeBron, bring me your plan. I'm not going to give it to you. I'm not asking you to give it to me right now. I'll give you 24 hours. Take your time with it. Build a plan. Bring it up. I'll tell you if I like it better. Hey, I might. JT, the same thing to you. Give me options to where you think you can come up with a better plan to be better quicker without the best player in the world. Listen, right now we'll agree to disagree on the argument. But after tomorrow, we'll really see who has a better plan.
Right.
Just one and done or actually making some moves.
Yeah.
Right.
Sixers JT said, Charles, well, LeBron formed he said, I agree, Charles. Kobe and Jordan stayed loyal to their teams. Well, LeBron formed the Big Three and promised 8 rings. Jordan never promised any rings and won 6 championships with a real team. Not just 3 stars and a bunch of scrubs.
Really? Because he won with Dennis
Rodman
and Scottie Pippen, 2
Hall
Hall
of
of Famers.
Yeah.
He also, for the record, let's be real. Michael Jordan retired to play baseball.
Yeah.
He ditched his team.
Yeah.
And also, there's pretty strong rumors that it was because of like a gambling situation as well.
Yeah, he had an issue with gambling.
So
which I'm sure if TMZ was around then would have been exposed, but because it wasn't, Michael Jordan. There's a lot about Michael Jordan. Do your homework on Michael Jordan as a person off the court. It ain't pretty. Michael Jordan was an adulterer who cheated on his wife, who had a massive gambling problem, and who punched teammates in the face.
Yes.
Michael Jordan was not a great teammate. He was the Scottie Pippen.
And yet they want to hate on LeBron because he's arrogant.
The one thing I'll really give Jordan, when people couldn't handle Dennis Rodman, he had the ability to handle a personality like Dennis Rodman.
Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time. Let's not get it.
I'm not getting into that.
We're not even getting into that.
No, we're not getting into that because I 1,000% agree. It's Jordan and everybody else. But the whole idea of Michael Jordan did do this. He did. You just didn't hear about it because you have social media now and everything's out there for everybody to say. That's it.
Stop ignoring MJ's faults and then
let's do homework. Let's do our homework on Michael Jordan's background. It ain't pretty.
So one thing, I actually LeBron James is an excellent follow on Twitter. If you guys don't follow him,
yes,
he is a phenomenal follow on Twitter. Yes. And something that was talked about, we talked about people being like him. You said him wanting to be Magic Johnson, not Michael Jordan. Every stop he's come to, he's been, as far as a basketball player, on the court,
unselfish.
He's been a very unselfish player. He tweeted, somebody put like a mixtape up of his kid. And his kid can ball, first of all, not surprising. But he quote tweeted the guy's mixtape of his kid and said, all right, young Bron, let's work hard. And let's make everyone else around us better. Yeah. It's like, how can you not love that? I just don't get it. I don't get how you could come out and say, yeah, what a selfish jerk telling his kid to work hard and to make everyone around him better.
Because
what
that's
a
the good
jerk.
Story. That's the good story. Hey, by the way, even just taking it off from that, how many times do we hear stories about Philly fans that are totally blown out of proportion, but the media makes it whatever narrative they want it to be? It's the same with LeBron James. It's the same with a lot of these athletes who you get half a story or you don't get anywhere close to the truth of the story.
That's a great argument. That's why LeBron James is a great fit for Philly. The most misunderstood fan base with maybe the most misunderstood athlete of the last 20 years.
Yep.
So Sweeps chimes in for the final time. I just want to get his comment.
Absolutely.
He went on for a while. He said, if you have an opportunity to sign, and he puts in all quotes, the best player in the world, you absolutely bleeping do it, 0 questions asked. Then he returns down to the normal quotation. He says, we can figure out all of the specifics later, money, years, ball handling, etc. If you want to win, you go get the best available to put you over the top. Just like the Phillies did, they had a young stud, first baseman, but they said, hey, you want to help us win? Then we need you in left field so we can sign Carlos Santana. You cool with that? His response was, F yeah, let's go. Just like Ben Simmons will if Colangelo says the same thing, you scumbag.
Sweeps!
Sweeps.
Yeah, nobody. I guarantee you, if you go up to Joel Embiid or you say, "Hey Ben, we're going to bring on LeBron," how do you feel about it?
Joel Embiid was
Joel
Embiid was trying to recruit LeBron.
He will say
years
just
ago.
the process.
Embiid's been trying to recruit LeBron for years.
Hold on. Yeah, just really quick, read Texas JT's last comment.
Oh, come on. We want to. I'm getting tired, Charles.
I know. But
I want to go home.
I just want to say, he says, as much as you guys love LeBron, I don't think he will turn this inexperienced team into a championship contender in the blink of an eye. Even though every time he joins a team, they make it to the finals, but that's none of my business.
I mean, how old was Kyrie?
No, but listen. I hear what you're saying.
I love you guys. Good night.
Yeah. By the way, this was all fam talk, guys. Just like Charles and Tom, we argue back and forth, but it's all love and fam.
Here, me and Tom were like, oh.
Thank you guys for joining us again. Another fun week on Birds of a Feather. We went a little off the cuff. By the way, Flyers are in first place, guys. Let's not forget that as well.
Flyers. Morosic.
Oh, yeah.
Second half brought to you by StreamSmart, StreamSmart.com. Thank you, Scanzano Sports, ScanzanoSports.com. Thank you to Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountant. Make them yours, GibsonMayer.com. Live from the BMW of Atlantic City Studios. Chrome, Paulie, Chucks, Ryan Brodo on them 1s and 2s. Guys, we'll see you next week. Enjoy your week. Check out The Fix and check out AM and the PM tomorrow night.